Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Bill Kornfeld of the Orange and Backcheck podcast. One half of that will be joined in just a few minutes by Scott Weinhardt, the second half of the Orange and Backcheck podcast. We are here for Saturday night hockey here on the Hockey Podcast Network between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Los Angeles Kings. Los Angeles is coming around on the end of their East Coast road trip, and the Flyers are on the second half of their back-to-back after a very impressive response game in a home-and-home with Buffalo, where they dominated Buffalo last night. In Buffalo, you saw a really energized Sam Ersson backing up or getting the start after Carter Hart went down a couple of games ago. So now he will be out for a couple of weeks here. So the goalie situation for the Philadelphia Flyers team is in flux as we try and figure out what the heck is going on now that Carter Hart is expected to be out anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks for what is being called a mid-body injury. It did look like it was probably more the groin area. He got stretched out a little bit and just got checked in awkwardly. Is how I would put it. We'll get more insight from our buddy Scott Weinhardt as we get closer to as he joins us. But tonight, I want to see. This is a little bit of revenge factor, obviously, for Cal Peterson, who's getting the nod for the Flyers. Obviously, former goalie for the Los Angeles Kings themselves, and just getting his first start of the season and what that is going to entail. I am very curious what his response will be, how he'll be doing. And then, of course, what has really energized me about this team, and ironically, because Coots, and I did not take a look, I want to say, here, let me look at the starting lineup. So we'll go through the lineups for the Flyers here. Top line, Noah Cates, Owen Tippett, and Cam Atkinson. Second line, Travis Konechny, Morgan Frost, Tyson Forrester. Third line, Joel Farabee, Scott Lawton, Bobby Brink. And the fourth line is the self-renowned PhD line in Nick Delorier, Poling, and Ryan Hathaway. York, Sanheim, Sealer, Walker, Zamula, Bellapito for your defense. So again, there is no Sean Couturier. So obviously that is a major concern for the Flyers once again, who has, despite my hesitation, as I had said on the program on Orange and Backcheck, if you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. We are on everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, or X, whatever the heck we're calling it at this point. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Orange and Backcheck podcast. I was very hesitant because it's obviously concerning when anybody is coming back from a back injury like Couturier was, not just a back injury, but a back that had 2 surgeries on it. So it's a little concerning that he has missed these last two games. They are claiming that it is not related to the back. This is something unrelated to that and a different ailment. So, I mean, look, if this is going to be one of those things where he's going to be in and out of the lineup, getting his body acclimated back to NHL pace of play, I understand that. But you're also kind of like the guy, when he's out on the ice, he's contributing. Like I believe he has at least 10 points on the season. Or no, excuse me. So Travis Sanheim has 10 points on the year. The league leader, or the team leader, I should say, excuse me, is Travis Konechny, obviously, who's playing his 500th game this evening for the Philadelphia Flyers. Man, I feel like it has been it feels like 2 years ago we drafted this guy. In Travis Konechny, because this is just crazy to me that we're already at 500 games for the kid that was called the little pissant by the guy who drafted him in Ron Hextall when he was the GM and president of hockey operations here in Philadelphia. So obviously times have changed since then. I've always been a Travis Konechny fan. I think he is one of the better players in the league, if not one of the top echelon talents that has kind of just gone under the radar. Like, I think that's really what it comes down to. I think it's very similar to what Claude Giroux went through here, where he was known as a top talent here in Philadelphia. Obviously, there were some haters at the time during his tenure, especially during the peak of his career. Didn't feel like he could get it done, so he drew some hate over that. But Travis Konechny, the fact that he's at 500 games, just like is wild to me. Like it's going to be crazy. Like in a couple of years, we're already going to be talking about his 1,000th game. I expect him to be a Flyer forever, because I think he's part of this rebuild plan that Danny Briere and others have set out. Like I just think he's an integral part of this. Same with Coots, and that's where I'm very hesitant because Coots is the I thought he was the future captain. I think that's Scott Lawton's job, quote unquote, to lose, because obviously he's the only guy rocking an A. If you're not following the Flyers as much as the likes of Scott and I, who's, again, I just heard from him. He texted me just a second ago. He's going to be joining us in just a minute here. The Flyers do not have a captain. They haven't had one for about 2 years now, or 2 seasons now, under the tutelage of John Tortorella. Because I agree with him. I don't think there's any real leadership here. I think there are some good leaders, but I think there's a different potential leaders, I should say. And that's why Scott Lawton is that guy. I think he's one of the bigger, more well-respected players in this locker room, and that's why he's the only guy rocking any sort of letter on his sweater. So I think he's going to be a captain. If not, he'll just stick with the A. But Coots has to stay healthy. Like that's really what it comes down to. If Coots can't stay out on the ice, and I'm curious if there was any new word on what his injury was as I look it up here as I talk. It's just kind of to compare and contrast the two. The way that Hart was hurt, that was a fluke. That was a freak accident that any goalie could have gotten on any given Tuesday. Be injured like that. Like that is very, very typical. And then in terms of Coots, it could be a freak injury in terms of what ailment he's dealing with now. But I mean, if he is going to battle through this and continue to return to form after getting back surgery, these ailments that are stacking up can be a big concern. And I'd love to bring in, as he just joins us now, Scott Weinhardt of the other half of the hockey podcast network.
Okay.
The Backcheck podcast. I'm talking about how we're missing Coots again for the second night in a row.
Yep.
Obviously, the second half of a back-to-back. They claim it's not related to his back injury. I'm very concerned that this is going to be a theme similar to for folks in Philadelphia when Carson Wentz got hurt in his back the year after the Super Bowl. Everything else kind of went downhill. Like there was other stuff that was ailing him. So to see this already happening on Coots 12 games in or whatever we're at, a little concerning in my eyes.
Of course it is, because you're a pessimist, and that's what you always do. So I heard you coming in saying first, and I was like, oh, right away, he's going into that. Look, he's also understanding a 30-year-old player who really hasn't played the last 2 seasons. So you're going to have games where you're bumping, bruising. I don't care if Sean Couturier doesn't play 82 games in a season, as long as he plays like 70. Like, he just has to limit how much because, hey, look, it's not a bad thing that he's getting limited as far as ice time or anything like that, or games, because you don't want to run him into the ground so early into the season. So I'm okay with if he's got to sit a day or two just because he's banged up. It is what it is. I mean, especially on a back-to-back game, it's not crunch time right now. They're 1 point behind the wild card for a playoff spot. They're right there with it. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. And then obviously the other injury that is, I think at this point in time, I think we can both agree is a little bit more of okay, this is a serious thing, or it could be a serious drawback to how successful the season goes. And that's Carter Hart dealing with, I imagine it's going to be a groin, or he's dealing with a groin. They're calling it a mid-body injury. You and I have talked at length about, can we get rid of the upper body, lower body,
oh God, it's
shake
so
a body? Like, just tell us what it is. You don't have to be so secretive. It's fine.
Right.
But if Carter Hart's out for the estimated up to 6 weeks, that's a huge problem, because Despite last night, Sam Ersson looked amazing last night, but can he stay consistent on that? That's the question. And then we're seeing Cal Peterson for the first time tonight, who's going to be riding a little bit of a revenge factor, obviously, because he's facing his former team. So if Carter Hart's out for 6 weeks, how badly could this go very quickly?
I don't think as badly as you think. I think that while Carter Hart will win you some games, it's not like Erson's going to come in here and blow games. I mean, you might have some problems with with Cal Peterson playing in the minors and coming back up. There is definitely a downgrade, but it's a good test for Sam Ersson. It's a good thing that we talked about in our last episode of Sam Ersson just being able to get more starts. Now he's in the starting role for a little while here for the foreseeable future, and this is a good way for him to get some experience under his belt. So I think that it's not pressure, but this is a good test, the litmus test for Sam Ersson. It's something that they didn't have confidence in that Felix Sandstrom could do, because he also went on the IR today. So I believe that when you look at it as a whole, it's not the end of the world. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like losing Carter Hart, he's your best player overall. I mean, anytime you lose your best player, that's a problem. But I was pretty encouraged the way that Sam Ersson bounced back after last night with last night's win. And I think that that's really important, and people need to understand is that goaltending, I would say 70% is mental and 50% is confidence. And I say 120% because, goalies are never, even anyway at 100, but it's true. Like so I mean, it's, it's all about confidence. So if he can shrug that off, shake it off, okay, time to move past it, moving on to the next game. I think that they're going to be just fine. They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
There might be a game or two difference. I won't lie. There'll be a game or two that Carter Hart would have won for them, but I don't think it's going to be drastic.
Yeah. If you're just joining us, I am Bill Kornfeld. I am alongside here, Scott Weinhart. We are the Orange and Backchat podcast. Watching along with us as we see the Flyers and LA Kings get underway here in South Philadelphia in the Wells Fargo Center for Saturday Night Hockey, as there is a breakaway attempt and Cal Peterson stones. Oh my goodness, what a stone. Why are they such shiny helmets?
Oh, they probably had their thirds on. Again, I'm having problems with my NBC feed once again. Once again, I'm having problems with my NBC feed. So bear with me just a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So already Cal Peterson is standing cold. As you just said, and I see in your description below, you say below average goalie. All goalies have crazy eyes, especially with the mask. It gives them the crazy eye look. They're showing a shot of Cal Peterson now just as play stops here after that stonage by him on, I believe that was, who was that? 22. Couldn't tell. Couldn't get a name on the Kings. But he looked laser focused. His eyes looked of, I don't care what I have to do tonight. They are not getting a win against me.
Oh, yeah.
They traded me to this team.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm playing for this team.
Oh, yeah.
And you made a mistake. Like that's what they're driving by, and I completely fine with it.
He was the next guy. He was the guy. He was supposed to be the guy, and it didn't work out. And it's Kevin Fiala who's number 22. So Kevin Fiala, Kevin Fiala's a good player. So I think look, I'm excited to see what Cal Peterson can do at the NHL level, and him coming back is a big deal. As far as he's the reason why he's here is because of depth in situations like this. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to see how he can bounce back of going to the minors early and seeing if he's going to push Sam Ersson for starts. So that's going to make Ersson better. So keep an eye on that, folks. Seriously.
Yeah, I think this is actually like, if there's any sort of silver lining that you're trying to find in Carter Hart being out for a significant amount of time, like he's expected to be here, this duo you're going to probably lean on, especially with, we don't know how long Sandstrom's going to be out after his stint now on the IR after being down in Lehigh a couple of nights ago. I think like there's just this is a good moment for Tortorella to figure out how good both of these keepers are in terms of Peterson and Ersson. And that's a good thing to have for Tortorella. It's a good problem to have.
100%. You can never have too many good goaltenders. You really can't, because they're valuable. They normally don't they more playing for other teams. That's why you don't see guys stick around too often. But I think it's important for this team to have good goaltending depth, because it's not something they've had in the past before.
Yeah. So we're about a little over 3 minutes into the first period here in Wells Fargo Center. Immediate takeaway is they are looking tired. The
Oh, I can
Flyers
imagine.
after a
I can imagine.
back-to-back, second leg of a back-to-back, which saw you score 5 goals. So they do not look, but they should be taking advantage because, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast here, the Kings are coming up to the end of their East Coast trip, so they're going to be feeling tired, I would imagine, despite having not played since this past Thursday. And another chance here is to get stoned in front, and the puck just trickles away from the Kings. And I believe they're going to call a penalty here. I believe it's going to be hooking as Cam Atkinson and Kempe get into it a little bit there after
Kempe,
the whistle.
yeah.
Oh boy, Cam, I would not try and do that again. My goodness, I don't know what you are doing. You are a little
hey, he's feisty, man. It's feistiness.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that. You need a little feistiness on your team and have Cam getting back and get it in the mix. It's good stuff.
So I believe they called hooking. I believe it was on. It might have been. I looked down as I was trying to figure out who this is going to be on. It's not TK. I believe it's Zamula. So Zamula is going to go to the yep, Zamula for hooking with just over 4 minutes to go into the first, so 16 minutes left. And immediately the Flyers dump and chase, and they try and create their own chance, and it's going to be frozen right then and there. So, yeah, fun stuff so far. Fast pace. And let me get you a login. You can watch.
Yeah, legit, dude. Like I can see it here. I can access it. I fixed all the login issues I was having last time, and I watched the game the other night on the app. Oh, now it wants to work. And now, well, let's see. It's a commercial. Of course, we'll have the commercials working. Let's see if the game is click on. So it's kind of got to see the delay too. And there's a massive delay that happens.
Yeah, that's very true. Cool.
You're gonna be like, oh, the Flyers just shot the puck. I'm like, what are you talking about? The Kings are on the other side of the ice.
yeah.
Like, you get that delay. There's a problem with the NBC app too. It's like you always hear the sound before you see the action, like a split second. Okay, now it wants to work. There we go.
Okay,
what do you got on the clock?
I am at 1525, 1524,
1554.
All right. Well, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
The power stream. So 1:15 left in the power play for the LA Kings, and they have not created many chances. Shots early on 5-3 as they try to set up in their own zone, and they break out here, taking it up into the neutral zone. Quick sticks there. I believe that was a poke check by Cam Atkinson, getting a little bit power play penalty kill time. Penalty kill for the Flyers is up to 79.3. That's right in the middle at 15th in the league. I believe that's already improved because they were they struggled
that's
very
pretty
badly.
solid, especially for that young decor. That's pretty solid, actually. I'm not complaining about that. You're not elite yet. You got a while to go. You got to, I think when they get rest the line back, that'll happen if it occurs anytime soon, because there might be a setback with that one too.
And as always, if you want to join in on the conversation, as the Flyers are going on a 3-on-1, potentially 3-on and shoot. Oh, it just goes wide by the Flyers on the shorthanded attempt. And that is just on the stick side. And it just goes wide and doesn't create any big chances. But 15 seconds left now in the power play as the Flyers looking to kill off the first special teams of the game after a hooking call against Zamula. And there, Ryan Hathaway has the puck, and he is going to take it out of the zone into the neutral zone and just digs away. Full strength now for the Flyers as they try and do something, but it looks like it's just going to be killing time to make a change here and get their first line back out on the ice. And Nick Sealer's out there, and there it is with Walker into the corner boards for LA Kings. Kings have it, trying to set something up, but nothing doing. Goes behind Peterson. Nothing. Nick Sealer. Now the Flyers have it. Farabee trying to take it. Doesn't lose because of control. Takes it behind the net. Nothing doing. And that goes all the way around back into the Flyers zone. So, Mike, yes, the game has started. The Flyers and Kings are just underway with about 6 minutes into the game. 0-0. The Kings just went on the power play, and that puck is frozen there by the Kings. It'll be a face-off on our first media timeout. Yes, we're just underway, just about 6 minutes into the first period. Game is tied at 0-0, and the Flyers killed off the first power play of the game after a hooking call on Zamula. So make sure to join in on the conversation. As always, you can join us as well. It is Flyers Kings for the Hockey Podcast Network, Saturday Night Hockey. I am Bill Kornfeld. That is Scott Weinhart. We are the Orange Back Check Podcast. The Flyers, I believe we're the only Flyers podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. So make sure you're following along and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that good stuff. And then wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, Google, or Stitcher, if you're still somehow using Stitcher, despite Stitcher being shut down about half a month ago. So fun stuff. Scott, do you have the game going? Did you get it working?
I do, yes. Right now, they're at the TV timeout. They just started it. I like this one's interesting to me because you have a former Flyer going against a former King in net. Saturday night game. This is my only complaint about this. This is really dumb how the NHL scheduled this. The Flyers played at home on Wednesday night against Buffalo, then traveled to Buffalo to play last night, and then tonight they're back home to play the Kings. Like, why not flip them? Like, why not have them play at home that first night? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, wouldn't that make more sense? Like, have the Flyers
Especially
going
for the environment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just like you gotta travel, then and go to Buffalo, then play them again and come back.
Now, technically, I concede to the fact that Cam Talbot is technically a former Flyer, but he never played a minute.
Yes, he did.
If I remember,
absolutely did. In the 18-19 season, he absolutely did. Yes. Yeah, he was terrible. That's why they didn't re-sign him.
Oh, maybe that's why I forgot.
Well, and that's the thing is, it was part of it. He wasn't that great when he played here, but part of it too is that he played in 4 games, started 3, went 1-2, had an 8.81 and a 370. But the thing is, he bet on himself and he didn't think he was ready to be a backup goaltender. And the numbers before that, the season before, it weren't great. His numbers kept declining, but he's battled back, man. In the last 5 seasons, okay, played Calgary's. 2 years in Minnesota, last year and out over this year at the Kings. He's been pretty solid. The numbers consistently over 910, except that last year in Ottawa, but his goals against average is still under 3. And so, I mean, he's bounced back pretty well. And
can I just say, I said it about 3 minutes ago when the game just started. Who decided to put the chrome helmets on the Kings?
Who
decided this?
It's the throwback.
It's terrible.
It's the throwback.
Terrible.
It's fun. They use the Stadium Series ones, but it's the old school Los Angeles Kings. Yeah.
See, that would be fine out in the outdoor environment. That makes sense. But in an indoor environment, especially with like the LED lights that they recently put in the Wells Fargo Center about 4 or 5 years ago, because I remember that, because I think it might have even been even more recently, because I feel like it was Carter Hart that said in the year following that they put him in, it was hard to track the puck at the time because he had trouble with it. And so, to my point, the chrome helmets really are very shiny.
Well, they look like the Tin Men from Wizard of Oz.
That's so true.
They do. It's a terrible look, and especially with such a classic jersey like that. And again, I'm not old man yells at cloud type deal here. I'm just saying it's just a bad look. Use them on Star Wars night. Yeah, if you're gonna do that, that's what looked neat. But those are classic jerseys, and I like how they have the white and gray gloves, but they need to go back to the old school black helmets that they had. That would be a cool look.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the dumbest look is with Carolina on their away jerseys, the white jerseys. They wear the red helmets. I don't know why that irks me. Irks me.
It looks off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as always, this broadcast and all of our shows on the Hockey Podcast Network are brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network and DraftKings Sportsbook and Raycon headphones. You can sign up on both of them and get discounts, get free bets using promo code THPN. I've already put in my money line wager for the Flyers like I did last time we did this broadcast, and I won some money that night. So I'm hoping to ride that streak. I bet a whole $5. So fun stuff.
Big spender.
Yeah, well, let's not get greedy here. I'm not. Let's just put it this way. I am not a gambling shark, as one is called, who's betting a lot of money. So
same here. I'm not a good gambler.
Yeah.
So I did a prop bet.
About to get a shot on goal. Test came out. Cam Talbot right there. Let's check the replay because I'm probably watching the replays. You're seeing it in live.
I'm at 11:35.
And he rips it. Oh, good use of a screen there, but Talbot saw it all the way. Morgan Frost back in the lineup after being benched for a couple of games. I believe this is his third game back, maybe fourth.
Third.
This is very Torts-esque to bench a guy and he comes out firing. Because you haven't heard his name a lot. And when you have heard his name, it's for a positive thing. Like I was just talking about there, using the use of a screen and creating a goal scoring chance there for the Flyers as shots are now 7-4. Game is heading just about the halfway point, 9 minutes 9:02 into the game here in the first period. So, but Morgan Frost has had a ton of looks since coming back in the lineup 3 games ago.
Yeah, I think that a benching can do a lot of things when you're sitting up at the press box and not on the ice and not doing what the coach needs you to do. It's a bit of a wake up call. So It's good to see him coming out shooting and making smarter players of the puck. Again, they want to see that production from him from the second half of last year, not a repeat of the first half.
And there's a whistle here. It's Zamula, goes to scoop it up. I don't think this is a call. I want to say this was icing on the Kings, and that's what it's looking like.
It looks like it went up and out of play.
Yeah.
Looks like it went up and out of play.
There's no penalty. As they're showing highlights there's Hathaway with laying down some haymakers on the PhD line in his fight of the night against Buffalo. By the way, speaking of third jerseys, when we're talking about the Kings wearing them tonight, Buffalo, you got to wear the Ram jersey every single night.
Oh, dude.
It's such a good jersey. By the way, I was listening to the radio broadcast for the Flyers. They, at the time, they're now 12-1 and they were 12-1-1 going into that night. They're now 12-2-1, 2 regulation losses, both of which not only are they also against the Flyers, also Sam Ersson.
Yep.
So that's exactly why they have to continue to wear those Ram jerseys.
Exactly.
They cannot beat the Flyers with them, apparently.
I love
Sam Ersson.
I'm not gonna lie. I love how they have the alternates as the red and black ones. I know that was their main, and people didn't like it when they switched in yellow. But I think it's good that they have the original colors back as their main, and then they still honor the late '90s team by the red and black ones, the one that went to the Stanley Cup final with Dominik Hasek and whoever else was on that team. And that's I love that. I absolutely love that. That's a really great look. And the goalies get into it too by changing their gear. I love it. I love the colors that they have a set for that as well.
Yeah.
I gotta say too, I'm loving the Flyers uniforms this year. I thought it would irk me about the shoulders being this single thing, but I just love the fact that when I watch, I'm like, man, it looks like the old team, like the old '90s teams. The uniform looks crisp and clean, and I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
Hey, a new era of orange. You sometimes have to bring back the classic because they're trying to revamp this team. And they've looked. They have a 500 record right now. After last night, they're 5-5-2, I believe. If that's right. So
5-5-1.
5-5-1. That's right. So they are. And they're going to call a high sticking here as it goes onto the Flyer zone, but I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's just played with a high stick as we get to our midway point media timeout. 8:57 to go in the first period. The game is tied 0-0 between the Flyers and Kings as the Flyers are coming in the second leg of a back-to-back this last night against Buffalo, where they dominated, had one of their most, I would say, probably their most complete game of the year. I mean, they responded really, really well after, and not even that. This is why I love the sport of hockey. If you go back and look even at the game in the Wells Fargo Center against Buffalo in Philly, they were in it the entire game. Bounces just didn't go their way. I think it was 28 seconds, and then a minute 15 into the second game last night against Buffalo, bounces went their way. Obviously, they jumped out to that 2-0 lead. Football's not the only sport that's a game of inches. It's also right here in hockey. Well, so, I mean, bounces went their way. They played a complete game. And again, like I said, I think it was their most complete game so far.
Look, I look at you outshot a team 40-15, 40-15, and you lost 5-2. I mean, that tells me one of two things. And again, I'm gonna. Torts even came out and said it's not on Ersson. That's bullshit. It's not. The team played well. They couldn't score. They had a lot of chances. They couldn't score. And sometimes you just hit a hot goalie. It just happens. You get peppered, and especially with goalies that are in a rhythm. When you get a lot of shots and a lot of volume, you get into a rhythm. You're not thinking, you're just reacting. And when you don't see a lot of rubber, it's hard to stay in it. Which is like last night was a complete different story because the Flyers only had like 20 shots on goal the entire night and they scored 5 of them. So when you're not seeing a whole lot of action and you're used to seeing a lot of action, your rhythm's not there. So and that's a really hard thing to do because you're overthinking it. You're trying to play everything perfectly, and when it doesn't happen, it becomes an issue.
Yeah. I think what's fun about this team, and again, a little bit on most of the season last year, despite the lack of success in terms of W's, but at least one, they understand who they are, especially after the firing of Chuck Fletcher, as we've said multiple times on this show, or on Orange and Backcheck, and obviously on the first broadcast that we did of the season on the Watch Party here on YouTube. And they are a competitive team as they're now on the power play. They come back on the power play. I'm not sure what. I guess it was that high sticking was a penalty. As Flyers setting up for their
Adrian
first.
Kempe? Adrian Kempe's in the box.
TK tries to shoot it. It goes off the pad of Talbot, but it's kept in the zone by, that is Cam Atkinson. And Cam Atkinson sets it up for Zamula. Zamula setting it up, shoots in front of the point, goes wide. Morgan Frost trying to keep it in, but he cannot. Or excuse me, that was Zamula. Morgan Frost was on the end boards, but Cal Peterson trying to reset the game, and he struggled to. Ooh, that was a little risky there. I would not have played the puck there if I'm Cal Peterson, but it's fine as the Flyers survive and live another second, and they are setting up their pit. And Morgan Frost charges the net, but is not able to get the puck. Cam Atkinson sets it up at the point, and he's just dancing, skating, moves it around, sends it to TK. Travis Konecny shoots it from the point, and it was wide. Wow, that was a nice save there via the screen. Talbot still was able to see it all the way, and it goes down the ice, and the Flyers will live again to set it up in their zone. This time, Travis Sanheim tries to set something up, hands it to 21, and that is Scott Lawton. Scott Lawton trying to set something up, but he is not able to control the puck as it goes behind the net of Talbot, and the Kings just send it down the boards. Flyers try to keep it in the zone, but they're unable to do so, and it goes right down the zone. No shots on net for the Flyers so far. Maybe they'll get credit with one if that hit the pad of Talbot, but a little bit of a weak power play here to start for their first one of the game. And that's kind of been a theme as well, I would think. They were at a dismal, I think in the first 3 games, they were at a dismal 5%. And then it started to cook a little bit. They really started to get things going. Now it's kind of leveled off once again in terms of their power play. Their penalty kill has definitely improved, but the power play definitely needs to show improvement and get some work done as they get checked off the ice, and it's going to go back to full strength here. As Owen Tippett is able to keep it in the zone and tries to dance around, takes a shot, and it does not click and really make a threat of Talbot as it bounces off a defenseman and into the neutral zone, and the Kings will just send it down the ice and clear it for a line change.
So I go back to your point about the penalty kill. You'd rather have your defense be better first than your offense. First defense, then offense comes. So the power play, it's not that it's terrible. When they do set up in a nice umbrella formation, try to cycle the puck around. Really what it comes down to this is that you got to get players in the right spots, and they just don't have the high-end skill to really just have an effective power play yet. I mean, it's coming. As once these guys once they figure it out a little bit more, when they put Tippett in the right spot, Forrester in the right spot, you want your guys in shooting spots, but the Kings are going to try to take away those lanes because, listen, their coach is Todd McClellan. He's a very defensive oriented coach, and they're a very defensive oriented team. So they're not going to be, they're 11th in the league in the PK, and they're probably a little better than that in actuality. So you gotta, it's hard against this team, but overall the Flyers, it's going to take time for that to develop, but it will come. It will come.
Yeah. Their best chance of the night so far, they just showed the replay, is TK from the point on that power play, went off a couple of sticks, but Talbot stayed square to the puck and was able to stop the puck again. And that's going to be back-to-back icing calls on the Flyers. The first one there by Walker, and I think the Flyers won the puck, or they won that ensuing face-off, but they, again, send it all the way down the ice. I don't think they got a player off the ice to get some fresh legs out there, so it's going to be back-to-back icings on this line as we go again, and the Kings win it, take it from the point, try and settle, taking away, go to the end board, go around, Cal Peterson. See, I'm even mixing up the former goalies that were each respective on the teams. and that goes into the netting, and it's going to be a whistle and stoppage of play. 5:40 to go in the first period. Nothing. As we head to a media timeout. Nothing. I mean, not a very exciting game so far. A couple of chances here for both teams. A little bit of a revenge factor. I think it's definitely, obviously, more of a revenge factor for Cal Peterson than Cam Talbot. But I don't know. I think you find any means necessary to give yourself an extra flow, extra juice to get psyched out for a game. So maybe Cam Talbot's thinking, F this team that didn't think I was good enough to stick around.
Cam's played him since then. Cam Talbot's played him against Ottawa.
Yeah, that's true.
He was really good against them, against the Flyers. I look at it this way: is that I believe this is the last game before the
they head to Vegas.
Yeah, they head to Vegas, and then they have a home stretch, a 4-game home stretch. So the Kings are looking to get back in the other time zone, especially with the time change tonight. They're looking to back in the Pacific time zone. The Flyers coming off a back-to-back. And then they don't play again until, when is it? They don't play again for 4 days. So they don't play. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the schedule wrong. They don't play again for 3 more days. So they have a couple days off here after that, but the Flyers have to get through this game tonight. They've played 3 in the last 4 nights. So you probably get a little bit of tired legs. Same with the Kings, but this is going to be one of those things where it's just going to be a dogfight who can get 2 goals and hopefully to win that way. So
ironically, the Flyers are heading out west for their yearly West Coast trip around this time. Obviously, the
early.
Yeah, the most notorious one is obviously around Christmas time when the Wells Fargo Center hosts the Disney on Ice fiasco. So you can't really do anything there.
They're going to still be out west. I mean, they play Detroit, and then before Christmas, and then after that, they do that swing where they're playing Vancouver, Seattle, Edmonton, and Calgary. So that'll be fun to watch.
So the next game that they play, as we're about to get back underway with 5:40 to go in the first period, is against the winless San Jose Sharks. Now they're playing tonight. Now let me look up the score. But even if the Flyers win, look, there's no doubt in my mind if San Jose loses tonight, their next game when they play the Flyers will be their first W, because that's just how it goes here.
Stop being such a pessimist. My God, dude. Yes, they're 0-9-1. I mean, and they're a minus 35 goal differential. I mean, they don't play. No, that's just absurd. You would think that
and that's the first goal of the evening is the Kings. I think that was Kempe.
What number?
Yep. Number 9. So that was Kempe.
Yeah, Adrian Kempe.
And Torts does not look happy. I was too enthralled looking up with the San Jose, but they don't play until 10. So let's take a look at this replay, or you're going to see it live. So you can.
Yeah, I'll see it live.
But it did not look. Let's see. Take it live. Oh, what I don't know who that was. Cam York had Kempe shielded and just completely whiffed. And then actually Kempe just took a swat at the puck, and Cal Peterson did not track it whatsoever, and it slid by him.
He overplayed it. I just watched it. He overplayed it. He overplayed the puck. Yep.
Yikes.
So yeah, that's a leaker. Let's see the replay on it, because what happened is that from what I saw full speed, you're right, is that's a soft goal. So he overplayed the puck.
And that's another goal for the LA Kings, as the wheels are falling off very quickly for Cal Peterson.
It seems, yeah.
And that's there's the patented and Torts drops an F-bomb right to his bench, right from the point. That was let's see, and that was just an easy deflection, and Cal Peterson did not see it whatsoever, and it goes into the net on his lower stick side. 2-0 LA Kings after a strong start. So, and that was Anze Kopitar, excuse me, with the goal and the deflection for the Kings. And they're already out to a 2-0 lead after 45 seconds?
Wow, after
40 seconds. Yeah, 40 seconds.
Whew, 2 goals in 40 seconds. Yeah, Torch is not going to be happy about that one. Especially, that's not how you respond to it. The first one is a little bit fluky. The second one here, it's a drive from the point and tipped down by Peterson and just went completely by him. Yeah, he never saw it going past him. So that's bad. That second one's bad luck. That first one, if you're me, that second one by Matt Roy, it's a shot from the point, deflected downward. You can see his head, the way his head snapped back. You never expect that to be tipped. But that first goal, You kind of got to stop that.
No, you have to
Kempe
stop
got
that.
a piece, but he overplayed it, and that's a technical issue. So he kind of slid over too far, and that's part of the problem with Cal Peterson is that his technique isn't always solid, and that's why he was in the situation that he's in. So again, I hopefully he rebounds from that, but you can't overplay the puck. You got to play positional in that situation, and yeah, it seems bang bang, but get your body in front of it. Don't slide too much across. So that's the issue with him right now.
Yeah, and this is where the really the questions, and this is going to be a penalty on the Flyers with 4.5 to go. They're going to call a delayed
Torts
penalty.
is going to be hot in the locker
So
room.
this is the problem that we saw with the Flyers a little bit last year, where they were picking and we historically, even under the tutelage of why am I blanking on the coach before Torts? He just retired. Why can't I remember his name?
Wait, repeat that.
The coach. Why am I blanking on the coach?
Alain
Prior
Vigneault?
to Torts, Alain Vigneault.
Yeah.
What the bad habits were, as soon as they were up 1-0 or they went down 1-0, and they would immediately just kind of the wheels would fall off and bad habits would start to really happen. That goal or that penalty that they just committed, I believe that was again on Zamula, if I'm not mistaken. I think they just showed Zamula. That is bad habits because it was started by an icing. And they just trying to get rid of the puck, and they're going to call interference there with 15:30 on Igor Zamula, and the Flyers chip away, and they immediately send it down the ice to clear the puck with 1:50 to go in this power play. Again, 2-0 LA Kings after 40 seconds apart. Might have even been like 35 seconds apart after the time difference. Just bad habits compound for this team, and that's what Torts is trying to get rid of. And he has a really tall task every once in a while, because this is the growing pains of having a young core. They're gonna make mistakes like this, and it's just frustrating for an experienced and one of the longer tenured coaches in the NHL today in John Tortorella. So it's annoying. And
I completely agree with you. I don't think there's anything at all as far as what you're saying is wrong. It's the truth. They're a young team. They're gonna have some growing pains. That was a play, just a good play by Adrian Kempe. It's a bad play by Cal Peterson. And the second one, it's deflected across. It's deflected. But the thing is that you got pinned right away in the zone and you couldn't get the puck out of it. I think that's part of the things that they're going to have to review, of making sure that, that for the other night, for whatever reason, along that half wall there, even against the Sabres, they try to play it up that half wall around the right circle in front of the Flyers goalie, and the teams are reading that. That's where they used to get their outlet pass, and it's not working. They need to change it up a little bit.
Yep. And
Did Doughty just hit the post? I think Doughty might have hit the post.
So they had a couple of chances there. Doughty hit the post, and then they crossed someone had a dunk of a shot and just couldn't put it home. They went across the goal mouth, and Cal Peterson was completely off his angle and couldn't get the push off, and I just don't think they could settle the puck. So Flyers are about to kill off this penalty with 7 seconds to go. They clear it into the zone, and there's a breakaway here for Cam Atkinson. Shoots, and it's stoned by Cam Talbot. Nothing doing. I believe that was Cam Atkinson. Yep, it was 89. As the Flyers are back to full strength with 2:20 to go. Look, if they don't have to get a goal. Yeah, 2-goal lead is nothing in the NHL today, but they at least have to pepper Talbot. They're down on shots 11-9. There's not a lot of I'm not putting a lot of stock in that stat, but they're not peppering him enough. They're not like these are if I were to guess, more than half of those 9 shots would be low quality, unchallenging shots. They have to get Talbot to move. That is his weakness. If you get Talbot out of position and unable to push off his right leg specifically, you can get him out of position very easily and set up the goal because you're just looking for greasy goals at this point. Like, that's all you are looking for, because you're still looking for that true goal scorer. You're hoping that it's Owen Tippett, but you don't really have a true goal scorer yet. Travis Konecny's on a tear right now. I think he's almost at 10 goals already, which is very impressive. I'm not going to complain about that, as Igor Zamula tries to make up for his 2 penalties, shoots it into the gut of Cam Talbot, and it is frozen, and it'll be a face-off to the left, or excuse me, to our left, his right, of the face-off circle in the Kings zone. So this is what they have to continue to do, really create chances. They cannot let these errors again. I'm not speaking anything outside the box here. They have to stop the compounding of mistakes as they take the face off here and they take a win. And Owen Tippett takes a sharp angle shot, tries to create a scrum in front of the net. The puck gets loose and the Kings take it out into the neutral zone, dumps it off, and there's just speed on speed. Oh my goodness, what a pass there by the Kings, and that is going to go out of play into the goal mouth. After going into the goal mouth, Fiala was just on a tear there. He gives himself a little smirk. Can't believe he missed it, but what a pass there. And Fiala just could not get it. Tried to get a one-timer deflection. Oh my goodness, just wide. That was Cal Peterson might have gotten a save on that, but that was very, very close to being 3-0 Kings as we approach the final minute of play in the first period. You're watching the Hockey Podcast Network Saturday Night Hockey with Orange and Backcheck, Bill Kornfeld, and Scott Weinhardt. Thank you so much for joining us as stoppage and play. They're going to call an icing there by the Flyers. They're just trying to survive this period. They're like they're just trying to get to the intermission at this point.
Yep. So the pass coming across from Kevin Fiala. Yes, Cal Peterson got a piece of it. It went off his toe. It just got a piece of it. That's a great play by Lafreniere. And I think either you pushed it wide or just got a piece of it. But you go back to that Owen Tippett. You were talking about scoring chances. It's not about shots. It's about scoring chances. They're not getting enough scoring chances. The best one they've had so far was that Owen Tippett one down low. Not even that Travis Konecny one was a great one. They probably, honestly, the breakaway and the Owen Tippett play were the best plays they've had so far. But they're not generating enough scoring chances. But again, this is something where Torch is going to have to rally the troops because this is a defensive team. This is a team that focuses around defense. They don't have all the offense in the world.
And there's a chance there by the Flyers, and I think that was stuffed away by Owen Tippett, but Cam Talbot rose to the challenge there. And with 12.3 seconds to go, the Flyers almost had a chance at cutting this lead in half as a cross-ice pass there by Scott Lawton. Oh, it was not Tippett. Forrester tried to. That's Tyson Forrester almost with a nearly. This, if anybody needs a goal, is bad. He almost went 5-hole there, but Cam Talbot closed the doors just in time. Scott Lawton with a cross-ice pass and an Owen Tippett, with Tyson Forrester right in front of the net, in front of Talbot, and Talbot was there and closed his legs to prevent the 5-hole. And there's another chance there as the Flyers win the faceoff, but Travis Konecny takes a weak shot, and that is not going to do anything as the Kings just set it into the ice. And that's going to do it for period one. And we'll let Scott react to what is about to happen in front of him because we're on a slight delay. So bear with us, and it's fine.
Look, I mean, a great pass across, got a chunk of it. And that's why you wear a cup, folks, because that's why legit. That's where it hit them, and that's what saved the boys kept the puck out. There was really that's just I can see you shaking. And Forrest is shaking his head on the bench. It's like, man, how did I not put that home? It's like just it's bang bang, but it just that gear just sticks out enough where it just sometimes you get the bounce, sometimes you don't, and then that time they didn't get the bounce. But besides that 40 seconds and mediocre first period, I'd say mediocre offense, okay defense, but those two breakdowns they had that caused the 2 goals is something the Torch is really going to ride them hard for in the locker room, and as they should. But they need to find a way to get better legs here with whatever they have left throughout the last 40 minutes of play because it is important.
So that is going to do it. Episode 1. I think I'm doing a podcast. I forgot we're on live. That is the end of the first period in the Wells Fargo Center in South Philadelphia between the Los Angeles Kings and the Philadelphia Flyers. I am Bill Kornfeld. That is Scott Weinhardt. Of the Orange and Backcheck podcast. Please, if you have not heard of us before, thank you so much for tuning in for the first time. Make sure you subscribe to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that fun stuff. Just search Orange and Backcheck and we pop right in into your feed, Spotify, Apple, and check us out there. We will be back in just a few minutes. We're going to continue take you through all of tonight's action between the Flyers and Kings. Again, 2-0 LA after 1, and we will be right back. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our Saturday night hockey podcast network watch party for the Flyers and Kings. I am Bill Kornfeld. That is Scott Weinhardt. I'll get it right one day.
One day
I will get my directions right. That is Scott Weinhardt. We are the hosts of the Orange and Backchat podcast, the only Flyers podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. Thank you so much for joining us. We are about to get underway for the second period between the Flyers and Kings, and the Kings hold a 2-0 lead, which I will summarize as the Flyers played a good 15 minutes, a decent 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and a really lazy 40 seconds, which caused 2 goals to be scored and give the Kings a 2-0 lead as they are heading back to the West Coast after this game to take on the Las Vegas Knights, and the Flyers head out west also to take on San Jose and begin a West Coast road trip after this game in a couple of days here. So, Scott,
Bill,
thoughts on the first period?
Mediocre, average, 40 seconds of hell, probably a lot of yelling from Tortorella in the locker room. I expect a much better second period response here. Better second period response. Now, get it. This is come to expect against a strong defensive team like the LA Kings. They're well coached. Todd McClellan's a very good coach. He's been a very good coach for a long time. He's got confidence in his guy, Cam Talbot, who came over when he played with him when he was in Edmonton, when he coached in Edmonton. I think that structurally this team they're hard to play against because, yes, they don't score. They're not a great scoring team, but they did make the playoffs last season. They did have opportunities where they could be a better team than people expected to be. And they're just strong defensively. So, all that being said, I'm not surprised the Flyers in this position. Just the way the 2 goals happened, I would rather see 1-0. I'd like to see Cal Peterson get that first one. I'd rather see him not overplay it, but yet again, he has been playing in the AHL, not the NHL. I'll give him a little rope on that. That second one, just you could see by the snap of his head, and then that happens. You have no idea where it's at. It just, you don't see it till it's halfway by us, and that's I've been there, and so that's not a great feeling. I've been there probably more often than I want to be.
Yeah. As always, you can join in on the conversation, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, wherever on the Hockey Podcast Network, range of social media platforms. Make sure you're commenting. Before we get started in the underway in the second period, I love this question because Dylan, have a whole $5 bet on the Flyers over of 75.5. So as long as they get 76 points, I'm a happy guy. And that's a half point better than they were last season. Scott, where do you land? I don't think we've ever talked about this on the pod. We talked about general overall what we think of this team. You might even, now that I think about it, did you say they could breach into the 80s? Where were you at for?
I think this team ceiling is 90 points.
90 points?
Yes.
Is their ceiling? Okay.
Is their ceiling.
But that has to, that's...
they have 11 points in 11 games. They're basically a point per game right now. You got to expect that it's going to improve a little bit as the season goes along, especially when they get a little healthier on defense. We're getting Mark Stahl back, Rasmus Ristolainen, and that can improve. I think they cap out around 90 points. I mean, listen, it's you're gonna have to find out what litmus test is with this team when you get into the doldrums of the seasons. It's still early. You're still developing an identity. You have one right now, a little bit. You're playing hard. You're hard to play against. Their grind, the PhD line is playing well.
Oh boy. But okay, so you're about to, is because the second period is underway now, and the Flyers are very lucky as they lose the opening face off, and then just again, you're gonna see this in growing pains, but you're gonna see it in a second between, I believe it was Travis Sanheim and I don't remember who his partner.
Oh, that's Cam York. Oh man,
they just stared at the puck together.
Yep.
As the puck trickled into the Flyers zone, right in the center ice, in between the slots, and both defensemen just stared at the puck. No one played it, and they got away with one there.
Oh my God! It almost snuck through Cal Peterson too. Oh, I just saw that. That puck went back. I think that puck was through him, and I think it was Sanheim who cleared it out. That was a very very fortunate play. Oh boy.
So not a hot start as we talk about needing the Flyers to start peppering Cam Talbot with shots, high quality scoring chances, but nothing doing so far as the Flyers try and get into their offensive zone, and they cannot, as it is cleared out by the Kings, and the Kings keep it send it through the neutral zone, and then Flyers try and clear, and they do as Travis Konechny controls the puck and sends it up and gets it back, tries to make a move, dances around it. One defenseman can't get around another, and the Kings retain control into the end boards, and they send it up, and they are out of their own zone into the neutral zone. Kemp, once again, Kemp has been a Flyers killer tonight.
Adrian Kempe.
As the Flyers send it into their own zone, they dislodge it from Kempe. And the Flyers send it into their own zone, but nothing doing. And now the Kings hold it behind their own net, waiting for the play to set up into the neutral zone, trying to drive it into their zone, take the shot, and it goes off Cal Peterson, deflected away into the near side of us. And the Flyers just, honestly, I would just describe this as the Flyers trying to survive. They are scrambling right now in terms of their skating. There's nothing, as you say, flow. Trying to get a nice flow to the game. They cannot do it.
Whoa. First of all, you're talking about, the weakness of Cam Talbot's right leg, which got my attention. And then you talk about flow. And man, you've been, I'm glad to see that some of my knowledge is rubbing off on you, Bill. And I'm glad to hear that finally. It's only taken you 4 years.
Yes, Cal Peterson freezes the puck and he forces a face off. And then Scott Lawton gets in the face of who is that? I need to know the Kings better. I don't know the Kings. All I know is
I got to see who it is.
Oh, Travis Sanheim. Yeah, they just showed the replay.
Kevin Fiala. Kevin, you got to face Kevin Fiala.
Yeah.
What's your just as a side note? What's your time at?
I don't know because they're showing a replay.
Okay. I'm at 17:39 doing replay.
They're about to do a whistle though. I'm at 17:39 too. Okay. And they're about to drop the puck.
Okay.
And they just
it was Sanheim. Sanheim cleared that puck out. It got through Cal Peterson. It got deflected down, went through his 5-hole. And again, if you don't know where it's at, don't move. That's rule. Everything's rule number 1 for a goalie. That's rule number 1. Don't move.
That's very true.
Yeah, everything. Don't move. And he moved, and it trickled it down, and Sanheim had to clear it out.
As the Flyers are going to take it into their zone, dances around the puck, dances around the net, and nothing doing. Again, just lazy play. They're just firing it on it to see what happens, and nothing is being created by their own skating abilities, by their own play ability, and they're just kind of I would just call it lackadaisical. It's just very lazy.
It's really it's not at all. The Kings are collapsing in front of the net. They're dropping 4 in front of a box in front of Cam Talbot, and nobody can get to the outside. Nobody can get through. So you kind of have to work that out. You have to open up that box. You do that by sustained cycling, but nobody has lanes because the Kings are really good at taking away those lanes. So they're going to control the puck, dumping it in, and really establishing a forecheck against the Flyers defense. So they're trying to cycle the puck and open the Flyers up because the Flyers are chasing the game at this point.
The ref just said something to the crowd, and I don't know what it was. I
think the puck got deflected.
Oh my goodness, that is going to be that has to be a game misconduct. Oh, who was that on the Flyers that put that guy into the boards? That reminded me of the it wasn't as of a bang play, but there was that play with with Zdeno Chara and
England. Who was it? It was
that he took a shot right into the end boards along the wall, and between that partition of where it is, the plexiglass continues and stops. His face went right into the corner.
Right on the stanchion there.
And they didn't, I guess they called it a clean hit because the Flyers are on the power play. Because I saw the ref go like this.
It was Louis Belpito who hit him. And Louis Belpito rode him into the wall. But what was the penalty for?
That I did not get. But the Flyers are on the power play. 1:24 to go in the power plays. They're trying to set something up. And again, they cannot just get control. As you said, they're collapsing everything around Cam Talbot. And the Flyers trying to set it up behind the net. Goes around as Bobby Brink is able to control it and sends it up to the point for Travis Sanheim. Sanheim just holding the puck, dances around to the end side, takes a shot, goes wide. No, I don't believe that was deflected off of Morgan Frost, but it gets back out to Travis Sanheim, who passes off to Bobby Brink. Bobby Brink shoots it into the puck, into the skates of Morgan Frost, and Morgan Frost can't control it, and he does retain control as now Bobby Brink takes control on the near side, just outside the circle, into the zone, dances in, takes it around the net, trying to find a player, cannot find a teammate, does finally, sends it all the way to the near side, back to Travis Sanheim on the near side at the point, and Deans is around. And this is just cycling. They're trying to find what the Kings are just playing as they shoot on. Travis Sanheim takes a shot, and it goes off the post, I believe. That might have been off the post, but can't hear the ding because I don't have the sound on because I don't want to get us sued on the Hockey Podcast Network.
That would be very nice not to do that to them.
I'm sure Dylan and Kyle would appreciate that. So the Flyers continue. This is their best cycling of the game as the clock is down to under 10 seconds now as Bobby Brink has it on the near side, skating it into the zone, behind the net, trying to do something with it, cannot find an open man, and the power play comes to an end, but the Flyers still retain control with Travis Konechny. And now finally the puck is cleared and out into the neutral zone. I would say that was a successful.
Yes, they sustained pressure for most of the power play. Just a matter of getting more scoring chances. I think the Flyers need to start working it a little bit more down low on this one because you've seen those quick passes that are coming out in front and catching the Kings by surprise. If they can cycle the puck a little further down low and not have a quarterback at the point, they probably have generated a little more scoring chances on that one. So Nate said Nick Sealer with a great hit at center ice. That was a great hit. I didn't see the number of the King who went down, but he's a little slow getting to the bench. It's
6 minutes to go in this second.
He knocked down Trevor Lewis.
Ooh. So the puck is just kind of being battled for in the neutral zone. It's finally Tyson Forrester takes a shot, and it goes wide. I believe that might have went off the blocker of Cam Talbot, who sends it out to the side into the end boards, as it is recontrolled by the Flyers behind the net. I believe there's going to be a penalty again. I believe this is going to be against the Kings, and it is, and the Flyers are going back on the power play. And Farabee, don't do anything stupid that would cause this to go back to 4-on-4, as Farabee is not happy as he was knocked to the ice by the Kings.
Oh, yeah, his cross-check right in the net. Oh, God. That's a brutal penalty. Who was that on? Was that on Doughty? That was on Doughty.
I believe that was
it was on Doughty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame him for going after that. That's a really dangerous play. And Drew Doughty, come on, you're a vet, man. You got to know a little better than that. Can't just cross-check a guy into the net like that.
So we go to our sub 15-minute media timeout. It is 2-0 Kings. You're listening and watching to the Hockey Podcast Network. Saturday Night Hockey presented by us here at the Orange and Back Check Podcast. We are Bill Kornfeld, and that is Scott Weinhart. If you have not heard of us, please rate and subscribe us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Wherever you listen and watch us, Spotify, Apple, please subscribe to us, and you catch every episode weekly as the season is underway here in Philadelphia. And we're just kind of, if you have not heard, Scott is very optimistic about this team. I can't remember your exact verbiage. Are they playoff contenders or are they fringe playoff team?
They're a fringe playoff team. I think that this team is going to be battling for the second wild card spot. I really do. By the time the season ends, I mean, look, I know people think I'm crazy, and I know I'm a bit of a goober, and I know I'm a bit of the optimist, and I know that I know all these different things. I am well aware of who I am. But I just can't get past the fact that this team, when you look at the wild card standings as of today, the Carolina Hurricanes have 12 points at 11 games played. The Flyers have 11. The Canes have one more win. That's the difference, and they're a -1 goal differential. I feel like that in Montreal. I feel like Montreal's playing a little above expectations right now. I think Montreal might come back down to earth a little bit. They're solid, but I mean, I think they're still going through some of the growing pains. I see teams like Tampa, the Florida pushing a little further. But like, look at the Penguins. Do you see the Penguins? Penguins are dead last in the wild card. They're 3-6. And I've been saying this for a while. I've been seeing this coming. My whole point is this. I think this team is going to have enough horses to really pull the cart to what's called the horses to really pull the cart and really get him to the second wild card. I think that's a very strong possibility if things break their way. I mean, if they can get some wins here with Carter Hart out, if they can get some guys who can actually start scoring, then I think this team has some possibility to get that. And it's good for experience. You don't expect them to win the cup, but it's good experience.
as the Flyers begin their second power play of the period after getting killed off, but they sustained a lot of pressure and they continue to do so as the Kings continue to fail to clear the puck as Travis Sanheim sends it around the boards behind the net and trying to get to a player, but the Kings finally send it down the ice. The good old jinx by me after sustained pressure. 1:15 to go in the power play. Travis Sanheim trying to find something to set it up, and he dumps it off right there for Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett skates it into the neutral zone, flies into the offensive zone, gives it to Tyson Forrester. Tyson Forrester tries to swing it back around and cannot find an open man, and it is sent back down behind Cal Peterson in the Flyer zone, and the Flyers look to set it back up. This time it'll be Scott Lawton. Scott Lawton skating through the neutral zone, and he just fires it in and ends it around into the boards. And again, the Kings just collect. So this is not anything like the first power play that we saw just about 2.5 minutes ago for the Flyers. Nothing doing in terms of sustained pressure or shots. They're 0 for 2 on the power play so far, and they're going to call an offside on the team right there as Owen Tippett came in a little too quickly on the roster, and he immediately goes to the bench. So they're 0 for 2 on the power play so far with 29 seconds to go in this third power play attempt on the game. Second in the second period. Only 3 shots on goal.
Well, I mean, again, there's not much you can really say about that. I mean, they're plain and simple. It's just the defense of the Kings is good. The Flyers don't have the forward talent, especially with Sean Couturier. Yeah, this is where the difference where you see Sean Couturier really come in here because you're juggling your centers a little bit. And, if you don't have any threat up the middle, you just got to work to the outside, I mean, that's not how you play hockey. So I think what we're seeing here is the lack of offense really in part is also because of Sean Couturier being out as well.
As the full strength we're back to full strength with the Flyers trying to get a chance, and it goes in front of Cam Talbot, and that puck deflects high, but I think that would have been a high play on the high stick if Joel Farabee had swatted that puck into the net, and they're going to call an icing here as the Kings just send it down the ice behind Cal Peterson, and that is exactly what it is. 11:22 to go in the second period. It is 2-0 Kings, as that was a great play there to keep the puck in the zone as the power play expired by Bobby Brink and actually took the puck out, and that was good deflection there by Cam Atkinson. But again, like I said, he was going to swat that thing, and it was going to be definitely called a high stick if he got any wood on it, but he did not. So it remains 2-0 here in Philadelphia in favor of Los Angeles. And Los Angeles wins the face-off, and they send it down the ice. Kings playing very, I don't want to say tepid, but I guess they're just kind of weathering the storm in this first 10 minutes or so, because they knew that the Flyers were going to come out hot, and they did. They drew 2 penalties here, and now they're just trying to sustain pressure in the 5v5, and they continue to keep it in their offensive zone. And finally, the Kings are able to set something up, and they bring it right into the neutral zone, and they fire it on net, and Cal Peterson is there to glove it, and immediately the whistle stops, and a little bit of extracurricular activities, but nothing doing. Ryan Hathaway is jawing at somebody on Los Angeles, but yeah, PhD line trying to get something going. That's really how I would put it.
Yeah, try to get something going on, but I mean, maybe a little bit of angst. But you know what? One thing I want to see from this team this year is how they battle back, and I think that that's a critical thing that we saw last year. You know what? I mean, look, they're still halfway to the second period, ready to go. But I think that if this team can find a way to create scoring chances or generate any kind of scoring chances or get some dirty goals here, just one here to start would change a lot of things. So I think they're in it. It's just a matter of they got to start with one. I mean, look, the game hasn't been terrible outside of 40 seconds. Really, it hasn't. It's been pretty bad.
And Owen Tippett shoots, and he goes wide, and he had a wide open chance as a breakaway happened there, and he was actually more sprung than on a breakaway, but Cam Talbot, I believe, got a piece of it and deflected it wide on the far side, as nothing was doing again as this puck finds its way into the neutral zone, and the Kings bring it into their offensive zone, and they try to set something up, and they fire it wide of Cal Peterson and now but bring it behind the net. and set it up on the far side, bring it up to the point, take it from the shot, and it's gloved by Cal Peterson. Nothing too challenging for the keeper. Good chance there. Best chance. That was an incredible chance. I believe that was Owen Tippett.
Yeah, it was Tippett. Yeah, he had a chance getting that far side and just didn't hit the net with it, and it was a 2-on-1 opportunity. Gotta try to convert on that. But I mean, they're gonna take away the pass. So, but Cal Peterson looks like he's been settling things down a little bit. He's not too busy, but he's making the saves as he has to play and make them and slowing the pace down a little bit. So I think that's a positive. So
I will say, I what I like to see is Owen Tippett shooting that puck, because as that viral clip, if you didn't see it, because if you weren't in the Philadelphia area,
I think he hit the post, dude.
I think he did. Yeah,
I think
it looks
it's
like it clipped.
Yeah, he hit the post. Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that clip that went around of Owen Tippett being spoken to during a game, actually, with Tortorella going, "I need to know what you are. Are you a shooter or you're a banger? I'm fine with both. I'm fine with either. I just need to know what you are."
Right.
I think he's forming into that shooter that we expect from him, and honestly, what probably Florida expected from him when he was growing down there, and you were able to acquire him in the Claude Giroux trade a couple of years ago.
And he has the ability
here in the slot, take a chance, and they are tripped up, and there's no call. They're going to bring it into the neutral zone as the the Kings now take a shot, and that just goes no chance there for Cal Peterson, or no chance, no threat to Cal Peterson, I should say, as the game remains 2-0. We're over the halfway point of the game, 9 minutes to go in this second period, and now we're just scrambling along as they go into the far side, as the Flyers are trying to get back control, but the Kings are just playing keep away at this point as they settle and try to take a shot from the point, and they go for the deflection, and it goes wide over the stick of the Kings. And Cal Peterson, he just looks like he's standing up straight. That was weird. But the Flyers have it back into the neutral zone, and they just dump it in for a change. So they survived that little threat there by the Kings, and that was very odd to see Cal Peterson just stand up straight at one point and look like he was just kind of skating along at your local rink, is how I would describe it.
To make that shoulder save? Are you talking about with the shoulder save?
Yeah, no, maybe it was. I don't know. Like, maybe I missed the part where he saved it, but then he was out of the blue zone, out of the. Okay, Travis Sanheim. Okay, back to what we're here for. The Flyers are trying to create something, and they take a shot, and it goes off of a player and back into the neutral zone as the Kings send it all the way down, but no icing called, and the Flyers try to reset as Scott Lawton gets banged into the boards, and he has to get reset, and the Flyers are looking for something, and I don't know what just happened. Oh my goodness, that was almost a wide open net for the Kings, and there is someone to be thanked as the game remains at 2, as that puck is pushed just wide of the net, as Cal Peterson is able to reset himself and get back into position, and it goes into the neutral zone and then brought back in, and the Kings just fire it on net, and Cal Peterson's going to freeze it and say, "Let's take a second here, folks, and catch our breaths," because that could have been disaster, as I believe that was more just barely missing the wide open net for the Kings to go up 3-0.
Yeah. And you know what? They're hanging in there. You got to get the bounces. You got to say, for some of the things that have happened so far tonight, the bounces are going the Flyers' way. And oh my goodness, yeah. Cam York with a great defensive play on that. So tying up a stick, just not to be able to get wood on it. Can't really say anything bad about that. And I can't really, look at it as far as, it's an opportunity for the Kings. But yet again, Cal Peterson out of position for how that happens. So, it's some of the things where that's why he's in the AHL. But I look at this game as that the Flyers are the little thing. You're not seeing anything major, especially on the scoring side, but you're starting to see a little tiny, the little things that I'm like, okay, this they're starting to get it together. They're starting to understand it. They're getting better at it. Each game is an opportunity for this team to get better. And I think they are, win or lose or lack of scoring, the little tiny things are what really that they're going to be honing in on over the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah. Question from the audience. Do you think the Penguins will turn this season around and get back to the Penguins they are? Short answer, no. They are too old. This is what they have built. They are going to be moving to Kansas City within the next 6 years.
I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it would be interesting to see that. I think the big reason is that, no, I don't think the Penguins I think they knew that going in with a guy like Kyle Dubas. I think that the risk was that let's go get Erik Karlsson and let's see what this team can do. But when you have 6 players that you count on, so you have the big 3, you have Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and then you have Karlsson, and then you have Jeff Carter. At least 5 players. Excuse me. You have 5 players in their not their 30s, but their late 30s. That's basically a third of your roster. I mean, basically a quarter of your roster that's aged and old. And yes, while Crosby and Malkin are still considered elite, they're not like the same level that they were 5 or 10 years ago. So, and when you have a lot of money tied up, I don't think they're coming back, man. I just don't think they. I think Dubas is there really to build that franchise back up again from the ground up, and I don't think they're ready to admit it yet.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So the Flyers and Kings back underway, and there's nothing much as the play immediately stops again. Looks like Sealer's getting called for a penalty. I think this is going to be hooking, but it's going to be the Flyers. Let's see. High sticking. They're going to call high sticking on Nate Sealer. I don't believe this is a double minor. I don't think there was any blood on the play, but let's take a look at the replay. As Sealer was trying to play the puck in front of his own bench, and he just kind of backhands it and goes right into the face of Lafreniere. Oh my. That's just like lazy play, but just waiting for if this was a double minor. Nope, it's going to be just a straight 2-minute minor, no blood on the play, and immediately the Flyers win the puck and send it back down the ice. And Cam Talbot has to play the puck, and he sends it back for Doughty to restart the play. And already 20 seconds off the clock for the penalty kill, and the Flyers send it back down the ice again. Again, this team has, like you were saying, their penalty kill is solidifying itself, and next to come, as they're going to call an offside here on the Kings as they try to settle it in, but Kopitar was offside just a little too soon. The penalty kill has vastly improved over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yep.
We're 12.
Absolutely. 12. Yeah. So we're roughly 3 weeks into the season. 1 month. We're 1 month into the season. They've improved. They've gotten better.
Yeah.
And you don't expect the special teams to be done and to be great right away. You don't. Not especially with essentially some new pieces on your team. And I'm thinking you don't have Ivan Provorov anymore. You don't have Kevin Hayes. They were big parts of your special teams, regardless of what people think. Those are impactful players. You have to find place to replace those roles. So is Cam York going to be able to do that? Can he quarterback a power play? Is Sam Heim a power play quarterback? You're going to have to find it. You have to put a forward up there at the point. I think they're trying and mixing and matching different things and seeing what's worked. But I think the bigger issue is that they need to find a combination that has enough skill on the front end of that umbrella on the wings that can cycle very well and rip off a shot. Okay, I just don't think they have that yet. That top end talent, you really need to be an elite power play group. They just don't have it yet. It's not that it's not there. It's just it's not there yet. I mean, you have Cutter Gauthier coming up at some point. You have Matvei Michkov down the line. And that's down the line. But there's players on this roster who have the ability to impact like that, like Owen Tippett, Tyson Forster, Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee. Those guys really need to be Travis Konecny. They need to be those guys on that power play that you can count on those units to really click.
And I'm glad you brought up Cutter Gauthier. Do you remember back in, I guess it was 2014, maybe a little more recent, with Ivan Provorov, who obviously isn't on the team anymore, but you saw him playing as the Flyers have a 3-on-2. They're 2-on-2, and that shot just goes high and wide. But again, 20 seconds to go on the Kings power play as they are unable to convert at the moment, but they are finally able to reset their play, and they get it set, shoot to the point, into the site. Oh my goodness, just a wide pass there, trying to set something up. And they are back to the point as the Flyers are now scrambling, but they get set in their zone, trying to stop it. And it deflects off a Flyer, and it goes into their own zone. And they are going to kill off this penalty. And it's now back to 5-on-5 with 5 minutes to play in this second period. I'll talk about my Ivan Provorov comparison to Cutter Gauthier in just a minute, maybe at the intermission right before we take our next break. But don't let me forget that, because I love basically what I'm saying as it goes to a media timeout, so I'll bring it up now. Every highlight, every game I'm able to watch, I understand why he wanted to go back to college, but it reminded me of when Ivan Provorov was just dominating in the AHL, and the Flyers were just telling themselves, "There's no point in putting this kid any other league other than the NHL because he's done what he has to do." Cutter Gauthier doesn't seem to need college level experience anymore. This kid is ready, maybe not necessarily ready for the NHL full time, but he's certainly ready for the AHL. And I cannot wait for this kid to get in orange and black because like I said, every highlight, every goal that I see this kid put in the net, it's a pure goal scorer that we've been hammering for as a franchise for what seems like 40 years.
Well,
I'm so excited for this.
As am I. I'll be honest with you. I'm really excited for Cutter Gauthier. I think him and Matt Beachcobb might have an opportunity. The question really becomes this, and here's why I think the second year is really critical to Cutter Gauthier in college, because the NCAA is a great development league. It's really good for a lot of it. It's come a long ways for North America over the years. The big thing is with Cutter Gauthier is though he's really trying to make that transition from right wing to center. And granted, he was a winger, but he also has the body to play as a center. That's a big difference in play because you have defensive responsibilities and different zones on the ice of what you handle. Obviously, the wingers are on the wall. The centers play 200 feet. They're your third defenseman, but they're also your play driver. Thanks for cutting my face off.
Yeah, I don't know what I just clicked. Sorry.
Maybe I should do it to you. I'll do a solo
There-
layout.
I
Hit
just
the
did it to
wrong
myself.
button.
See, you
There
know how
it
to
is.
do it.
Anyways.
There it is.
I do. But so with Cutter Gauthier, him moving to center and having that second year in the NCAA is really a good litmus test to kind of see, okay, where does he need to go with this? Yeah, he's going to come up right to the NHL level, but is he someone that you can count on right away as a second line center? Because
Cam York just one of the dumbest plays in this game. A delay of game, just shooting the puck over the boards in his own defensive zone. It's so obvious. Stop doing that. You're a professional hockey player. There's no excuse to have a delay of game at that level, at this level.
No,
it is so lazy. Such a lazy play.
That
is so ridiculous.
It's not a lazy play. He's trying to clink it off the glass and out of the zone because he's got a guy attacking him rather than put it into his skates or playing it in the middle. It just flubbed off the end of his stick. It happens. Ugh. Can you do that, Bill? Can you even flip the puck that high?
How many chances do I get?
One, like him.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to do a video of that one so you flip it out of the glass. And I'm going to say, okay, yeah, my hand's going up. You're getting delay a game. Otherwise, I don't hear you talking shit. That's a bad play when it happons. Yes, it's not ideal. And agreed. I know your point about you're a professional hockey player, but those things happen.
And that's going to be a power play goal for
the
Kings as Kilelshov. I couldn't tell who that was. But it is now 3-0 Kings with 3:59 to go in the second period. And two players, it looks like.
Oh, they're all scrambled down low. What a shot.
Sealer collided with, I believe,
Arthur Kovalev.
Bella DiPippo.
Yep, Arthur Kovalev. See, now you're in trouble. Because you know what? You were hanging in there, and now it's a 3-0 game, and you're not generating anything offensively. That's a tough play. But, I mean, look at that. You have three Flyers defensemen crowding around the puck, and Nick Sealer is out of position. What's called Lawton's trying to hook Scott Byfield. I mean,
it's just lazy.
No, it's not lazy. You're scrambling. I'm sorry, Quentin Byfield, not Scott. I'm thinking Scott Bayfield, not Quentin Byfield. So Arthur Kovalev, third of the year. But I just you see how they were scrambling once that play went behind the net, and then in Los Angeles was able to maintain possession in the zone. That's the key. That's what the Flyers need to try to do is try to get them scrambling a little bit, but it hasn't occurred. You just when you don't have your top center, it's a little harder to do it, especially when you're trying to force it along the wings. But when you have Andrzej Kopitar coming right down the middle, Kevin Fiala on your wing, you got to respect.
And a chance there by Travis Sanheim, and it goes off a puck, and there's going to be a delayed call here and there. Immediately, the Kings are able to control the puck, so they're going to call I believe, another cross check on the Los Angeles Kings. So with 3:21 to go in this second period, they're going to call, 2 minutes for hooking on. Let's see.
Mouthing off.
Either way, the Flyers are going back on the power
Blake
play.
Lizotte.
Yeah, that's going to be. Ooh.
Yep, Blake Lizotte.
Yep, got his stomach. Got his stick right in the belly of Travis Sanheim. I was taking his shot. That's a hooking 100 out of 100 times. So Lizotte takes a seat, and the Flyers try to cut into this 3-0 lead with 3:15 to go in this second period as they try and get it into the slot and nothing doing. And Travis Sanheim just takes it out, tries to reset, and he does, and he gets it into the far side near the end boards and backs up to the point as I believe that is Cam Atkinson. Yep, it is back to Cam Atkinson, and it goes back and forth, and he's looking for somebody, and there is no one doing it as they finally take a shot, and it goes wide by Travis Sanheim, but the Flyers keep it in the zone as TK is able to get the regain control and sends it back to the point, and that is Cam Atkinson trying to make something as he takes it, just dances around, takes a shot into the belly of Cam Talbot, and play is stopped. 1:22 to go in the power play, 2:43 to go in the second. They have to score here. Like,
I mean, it's a little difficult to come back down for 3-0. But if on this power play, still setting it up, still moving guys around. Atkinson tried to see. So when Atkinson moves, the whole unit moves alongside with them. And that's what I'm saying is that if their benefit, they can try to break this open by going a little deep and swinging quick plays out in front. Yeah, it's better to a little easier for them to defend that. But at the same time, you have to break up that box. They're playing in what's called a diamond right now. You have basically you have one guy near the goalie covering the guy in front. That's a good defense against the umbrella. But at the same time, you have to take and transfer those perimeter shots. Probably better than if put two guys down in front rather than one. Have more of a wider umbrella where kind of have three cycler at the point like they've been doing, but two guys in front of the net instead of one in the slot.
And the Flyers bring it into the neutral zone and then immediately lose the puck in the offensive zone. And it is sent down the ice by the Kings. And Cam York is going to reset and send it up to, was that Sealer? Is Sealer also on the ice? Why would Sealer be on the power play? That's not good.
Well, I mean,
and they're going to turn it over, and the Kings are going to take a chance, and it goes off the leg of Cam Atkinson, who keeps the puck away from Cal Peterson. And the Flyers take it into his own. Scott Lawton bringing it back up and tries to dance around, but nothing doing as he sends it off to Travis Sanheim, shoots it wide. I believe that was off the blocker of Cam Talbot again into the post and the wide open net, and it goes rebound is nothing doing as they had a wide open near side, but there was no one home to collect the juicy rebound, and they sent all the way down the ice, and they reset with 2 seconds, 1 second, and we're back to full strength here, 5-on-5 hockey in the last minute 15 of play in the second period. So still 0-4 now on the power play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, it looks good. I'm not going to lie. It looks good, but man, are they not hitting shots at all, especially those point shots. They're not even getting close to the net. There's a couple shots by Travis Sanheim there. They got to stop going wide. You got to hit the net. You got to hit the net on the shots.
As Nate Sealer tries to take a shot, and it is deflected and goes back into neutral zone. And then, oh my goodness, a shot there by the Flyers, and it goes into this kick save and a beauty, and then into the slot. And I believe that was who's 20? Why? Oh, it was Walker. Wow, Walker almost had a chance there. I'm not used to seeing Walker in the slot.
Walker's actually a pretty decent play. He's actually jump-started some rushes so far this season. I've liked what I've seen out of him. Big save. Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah, someone knows who you are, Scott.
Why?
Look in the comments. Sure. Wogs?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
How are you, Charles? How are you, Charlie?
Yeah, my buddy Blanche out there. Yep, hanging in there, watching stuff.
So we got 45 seconds to go in the second period, and it's still 3-0.
Yeah, kind of a boring game at this point. You can see Konecny really upset behind the net there because he should have shot that puck. He played it back for Scott Walker, it bounced on him, and gave Talbot time to get across. Sometimes you got to shoot the puck. You can't go for the extra pass.
Took a shot to the face there, but no call as they both playing for the puck, and the Flyers continue they're getting him deep and they're able to almost control the zone, but they're giving it away way too easily as it's back into the neutral zone, and the Kings take control and they skate into their zone and they shoot and they score, and it is now 4-0 Los Angeles with just under a minute to go. I think we've seen the last of Cal Peterson because there's no way he's going to start the third.
No, I mean, it's not him. It's the team play. I mean, granted, he hasn't been great, but that's a bad goal. Yeah, that's That's a real
right
bad
over his
goal.
shoulders.
I mean, it's a great shot. Don't get me wrong, but
I think that went
that's
through the
that's
legs of
ugly.
Travis Sanheim.
Yeah,
I
if you
don't
didn't see it, I'll have to take a look at the replay. But I look at this way. I mean, you're not starting Sam. You're not bringing in Sam Ersson. Then you're not trying to win this game at this point. I mean, if I'm being real, you're not coming back on 4 on the win on the Kings in the third period. They shot through the legs and up and over. But even so, like that's just a bad angle. It's not a great angle he's got there. He drops the shoulder and goes up. See, his angle's off there too. So that's a problem too, is he needs to be a little, his right foot needs to be out a little bit more towards the top of that crease. He's kind of sideways. So he's given more from the puck angle, a little more over that shoulder there. So, I mean, again, I will, in his defense, when a player shoots the puck between a player's legs, it is a hard read. It's very hard to pick up. But that's one at the NHL level. You got to read it. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got to.
And the clock comes down to 0, so that's going to be into the second period here. One to forget, again, a 2-goal period for the Los Angeles Kings, and they have increased their lead to 4-0. Couple of decent chances by the Flyers, but again, just not high quality chances, and really making Cam Talbot push and move around in that blue zone, and it's just not doing. This is
Nope.
We got one more period to play. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us if you're here. I mean, my God. I mean, this has been a brutal freaking game on a Saturday night of all things.
Yeah. So we'll continue to take your questions, answer your questions, all that. Let's see. Wait, before we go to our break, at what point should the Flyers start thinking next year's draft position? I already think they are. I think they are trying to do this seesaw balance of, let's see how good we can play. How can we make a secret push or a surprise push into the playoffs? And then from there, it's kind of like once you get Christmas time, a little into the new year, you really start to level out of what this team is. And ideally, you kind of then realize, okay, we're just going to sell off what expiring contracts we can. And then, yeah, like that's where it goes. Like that's really what I can say. Like I think the NHL is very top heavy. I think that's how I would describe it. They're very, very top heavy. Yeah. And then everything from the wild card down, it's kind of a bloodbath. So can the Flyers sneak in? Yeah. Do I expect them to? No. I think what we're seeing tonight is not as bad as they'll play for the entire season. I think this is the back end of a back-to-back. You're missing your star keeper. You got a guy in Cal Peterson that's at the end of the day, he's not an NHL keeper. He's an AHL. He's a fringe NHL.
He's a fringe NHL backup at this point. That's what he is.
So I think I was hoping that he would have the revenge factor chip to play going into tonight against the Kings. But it's very, very disappointing that to see this. Honestly, like it's Sam Ersson and hopefully Felix Sandstrom isn't out for too long, but he just got put on IR today. Right. So for the foreseeable future, it's Sam Ersson and Cal Peterson.
I think with the draft, you mean obviously you're always thinking of it, but I think with the Flyers, I think it's more about them acquiring assets to get higher picks. It's about not getting as high of a pick as you can in this draft. It's not like the NFL doesn't really work like that. It takes time to develop these guys, unless you're a Connor Bedard or an Adam Fantilli. You're not playing in your first year. You're just not doing it. I mean, even if Matvei Michkov were over here, I don't think that he'd be a guy where you'd bring him up right away. I just don't think, given his size, given the change in ice, there is a transition period. However, I will say this is that with the Flyers, expect them somewhere in the middle. If they don't make the playoffs, they'll obviously be in the lottery. But if they can sneak into the wild card, I expect them to kind of really try to move for a lot of assets this summer. And I feel that Danny Briere is going to be doing some wheeling and dealing, because obviously if you're in a rebuild, the more top end talent you can get, the better your team is going to be in the long run, especially when you have them under team control for a while. I think with the Flyers though, I don't think it's so much this draft that they're worried about, because it is, as you mentioned, Charles, it is a very deep draft. But for them, it's about making sure the talent that they have in the system already is developed enough. So I wouldn't look at it from a draft standpoint. They have to start making sure these players develop. Owen Tippett needs to be sure that he's good every day. You have Tyson Forster. You have Joel Farabee. Joel Farabee's got that contract. He's got a lot because here's the thing. You got Travis Konechny. You have 1 more year in his deal. And you got to figure out what's going to happen after that because then you got Cutter Gauthier and you have Matt Michkov who are going to come up. Are you keeping Konechny? You flipping him. You keeping Carter Hart? You flipping him. Those are the questions that are going to be more asked more rather than draft position. Because if you're going to do that, you're going to trade for draft capital at that point for a team who's ready to go. So it's better for you to have 2 or 3 first-round picks in the NHL rather than just than the talent that you have. Trade them off for assets like that. I think that's more the angle they're looking for rather than where they're just going to end up in the draft itself. How much capital can they acquire? And some of the key decisions are going to be made on very big players over the next couple of years here.
Yeah. All right. That is going to do it. That is the end of the second period here on Saturday Night Hockey between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Los Angeles Kings. We will be back for the third period. Oh, God. Yay. The third period.
Yeah, great.
Please join us. Make sure you're subscribed to our show, Orange and Backcheck, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you listen to us. Make sure you're subscribed so you get every new episode because we do a weekly episode for you to listen to and let us know your thoughts. And we will be back for the third after this. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday night hockey here in Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Flyers face a 4-0 deficit against the Los Angeles Kings. I am Bill Kornfeld. That is Scott Weinhart of the Orange and Backcheck podcast, the Flyers podcast, the official Flyers podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network. And of course, we are always brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook and Raycon headphones. Make sure you use promo code THPN when using both. Woo! This is a night to forget very quickly. 2 goals to recap. In the first period, Los Angeles scored 2 goals, 18 seconds apart to put them up 2-0. And then late in the second period, they just kind of made the backbreaker to score 2 goals, I believe, within another very short period of time. I want to say 45 seconds, maybe a minute apart. So been a night to forget, but we are here for the final period, final frame, just to try and see something. So see some sort of life out of this team. Scott, what was your takeaway after that second period?
I mean, come out here in the third and just kind of, save face a little bit. Again, with Couturier, that makes a difference. It's not like they didn't get their scoring chances in the second period there. They had a lot more scoring chances than in the first, and not just shots on net, but actual scoring chances. But Cam Talbot's been really good tonight, and he's got a propensity.
Yeah. They just showed he has 3 shutouts in his career against the Flyers, 7-4-1 record. I think that was a .939 save percentage,
927.
927, like just absolutely absurd. I want to turn to this comment here by Steve. I think another one of your buddies. Flyers had a hot start and have cooled, now playing superior teams and have come out flat. Help me help you. I don't think you're wrong. I think like the Kings have vastly improved, obviously, over the last year with their season last year compared to this season. I think they are a playoff team this year. And we've kind of seen this theme, Scott, over the last couple of seasons, and it varies by games, number of games, but the Flyers have started out hot and then they've kind of come back down to earth, and under Vigneault they stayed there, and under Torts they have gotten out of this valley, but right now we're definitely staring into a valley of tough games ahead.
Like why does everybody overevaluate this? I mean, I don't get it.
Because honestly, man, because we have to look at what is presented to us in front of us.
They just won 5-1 in Buffalo after having 40 shots on net and losing 5-2.
And then they lost their star goalie. They had an amazing performance, but of Sam Ersson last night in Buffalo. But can you honestly tell me that you're expecting that out of Sam Ersson 6 out of 10 games that he plays? 7 out of 10.
Yes.
Like, is he that good? He started out very hot.
No. You're missing my point here. I mean,
hold on, a breakaway for the Flyers, and it is taken away and stripped away by the Kings as Travis Konecny tried to have an open net and a breakaway as he was sprung there. But the Flyers continue to play here and get into their zone and trying to set it up, or excuse me, in their offensive zone, I should say. And they get it behind the net. I believe that is. I don't know who that is. They're covering up the name, covering up the number.
What a great defensive play that was.
Yeah. I mean, just completely lifted up his stick.
Andreas Englund, a great defensive play. Man, Atkinson just missed wider than it, too. They're just not hitting the net tonight. Plain and simple, when they are, Cam Talbot's in the way. They're trying to get it around them, and they haven't gotten anything past them. Luckily, this is they end up facing one more time this year, probably. But, going back to my point.
By the way, Cal Peterson's still in net. I'm surprised.
Why wouldn't he be? They're down 4-0. They're down for another second half of back-to-back. You're not going to play Sam Ersson again. That would be
but you're not playing it. You're not playing it again until Tuesday night or Wednesday night against
but that doesn't mean putting
San Jose.
Ersson in now is going to do anything. It doesn't matter. You save Sam Ersson because what happens if he gets hurt? Then you're stuck with Cal Peterson.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Hey, the Star Wars game's coming up next Saturday, November 8th. Not next Saturday. November 18th. Philadelphia Star Wars game.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe they can borrow the King's helmets and look like R2D2.
Those helmets are not even Star Wars night. They're Spaceballs night.
Yeah. Lord Helmet, come out with that. Lord Helmet. Come out with big helmets like that.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah. I want to go back to your comment about the team. Go back to Steve's comment about the team cooling down.
Yeah, cooling down.
Let's look at this for real. If we're looking at this as a whole, They're 1 point out of third place in the Metro. Now,
Oh,
granted,
we're 12 games into the playoffs. Like, that doesn't mean anything to
I
me.
understand that, but also the Isles have 2 games in hand. But even so, Carolina is second wild card technically. They're only 1 point behind them. I mean, they played Carolina well the other night. They didn't win, but yet again, too, that they're going to have games like that. They're going to have games against Buffalo where they're out shooting opponents like crazy and lose, and then they're going to have games where they barely get any shots and they win. It's still early. I would not be able to tell. You're not going to be able to tell what this team is like until right around Christmas. But there's enough here. If they can stay healthy, that's the key. That's been the key the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
Really, yeah. I mean, it has been. Sean Couturier has to play 70 games this year. He has to. And it's simply because of the balance he brings to the lineup and his leadership. That's one big part of that. I don't think
this is his first 2 games missed of the season, right? Like, I
remember he didn't miss the home opener. Yeah.
Right. Because they said he was banged up, but they didn't anticipate anything.
And if
he missed that practice.
Yeah, if he's day to day, probably has something to do with like a shoulder or something like that, or whatever. If it's an upper body injury or something, I don't think it's I don't know if it's concussion protocol or anything along those lines. But whatever it is, it's day to day. It has nothing to do with the back. Sean Couturier looks like Sean Couturier of the past. He really does.
Agree there. Yeah, he is definitely. It definitely does not look like he has missed a step, which is good. Same with Cam Atkinson, who had the neck problems, though.
Right, and the big thing that you have to look at that is that Sean Couturier has been playing in the NHL since he was 18 years old. He's 30 this year, but those 2 years basically off saved a lot of miles on him, unnecessary miles when the team wasn't good. So that's one way to look at that.
Yeah, that's true. But that's a very optimistic view. As the Flyers take a shot and it goes wide.
As they have been all night. They've been going wide all night. They can't shoot tonight. They're just not shooting. And on a second leg of a back-to-back, especially how dumb the schedule is, and having the Flyers play home on Wednesday and then travel to Buffalo for a Friday game and then travel back to Philadelphia for a Saturday night game. That's the dumbest scheduling that you could ever come up with.
By the way, I was up in Lake George about 2 weeks ago, New York, the Lake George in New York, for those who don't know the area. I had no idea how far away Buffalo is. It's basically Canada. It's Canada. Yeah. Like, it's not upstate New York. It's Canada. Mm-hmm. Like, you throw a rock and you're hitting, I think, Toronto or Montreal. Yeah. Like, it's just stupid. Like, so to your point, for them to go have that home and home where the first leg was the home part where they're in Philly, then make that dumb travel, which you're probably getting on a plane, getting to Buffalo, and then coming back. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's dumb. Ridiculous. It's really dumb. And it's dumb for the whole squad. Even so, like, you ever been to Lake Placid? Lake Placid's a 6-hour drive from our area. And Boston's 7. So you drive an extra hour, you go from Boston. Let's imagine how far that is. Yeah. I think this team is going to be fine. Carter Hart has to get healthy, and Sean Couturier has to stay healthy. And the rest of it's going to work out because they're going to figure out the power play. They're going to get the younger guys going at some point. Tyson Foerster is going to get going at some point because otherwise he's going to find himself on the bench. And I know they love him, but he'll find himself in the press box a little bit. And they have the coach who can push the right buttons and develop a young team. So I'm not overly concerned.
I actually kind of disagree with Tyson Foerster getting put up in the press box at some point. I think overall his game has been pretty good. I think he's played really well. He's just not doing what you expect from him, and that's unfortunately score. And for a guy like him, where overall his entire game has been pretty good, but the thing that you're expecting from him, he's not doing, obviously, which is scoring. Mm-hmm. But you kind of I don't agree that putting up in the press box fixes that problem. I think he has to work through it, especially at his age. And it's one of those things where if you don't I don't see anyone that is of value to take his place. I think Tyson Foerster is the best option for what Tyson Foerster is at this point. And you just, at 12 games in, 13 games in, just let him work through it because he's playing fine. I think he's creating his chances. They're just not going. It's like tonight. Tonight is a microcosm of what Tyson Foerster has been going through this entire season. Everything's going wide. It's been going high. It's been square to the chest into the gut of the goalie. So I think you keep, unlike Morgan Frost, who I think was just completely out of position at times in those couple of games before he got sent up to the press box, just let Tyson Foerster work through.
That's fair.
I think he's good enough. I think he's playing well enough to not to warrant a healthy scratch. I think he's playing very well. He's just not scoring, and unfortunately, that's what you want from him. But He's not. It's not that he's afraid. He's not pulling a Ben Simmons on you.
No. I agree. I agree with you.
I
I agree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. It's just that you want to see these guys step up, and you need them to step up. And that's where I think that the big thing is about. It's not the there is a lack of top end talent on the Flyers. There's no question about it.
There's a turnover there by the Kings, and it's a shot, and it's another wide shot over the crossbar. I believe that was Owen Tippett. Yes, it was. And Tyson Forrester trying to recollect. And again, stop me if you heard this before, Scott. Shot went high and wide.
Yeah, that's been happening all night. It's been happening all night. So many shots have either gone wide and they've had wide open chances and they've missed it. That makes a goalie's job really. Oh, Forrester. It just makes the goalie's job easy.
And that's a goal by the Kings, and it is 5-0 as that looked like it deflected off a player. But they are right now giving the goal to who they give that goal to? Well, you'll tell me in a second because you're going to see it. I didn't get a look.
Let's see. Oh my goodness! Right, wide open. Let's see. My blast on in. That looks like it's Blake Lizotte. So coming in off the slot. I got to see the replay on what happened there. Kind of like a curl. Two players collapse down low. One guy wide open in the slot, rushing in net. That's the thing. Okay, look how that play. That play is a very simple hockey play. Two guys go to the net. One to the puck, one to the far post. Look at this. So Lafreniere has it. Goes wide. It gets stripped. Fiala goes to the far post. Third man in. Who is that? Oh, I'm sorry. That was Tyson Forrester leaving that man wide open in the slot.
All right. That might be warranting a benching now.
That one play. 3 guys in front of the net. 3 Flyers in front of the net like that, and that puck still gets past. I mean, it's just obviously it's not their night, but even so, you defensively is where it can be a little bit concerning. Tippett was there, but Tippett still overplayed it as well. I look, this is a young team. This is part of the growing pains. This is how it is. I mean, they're a young group. That's why I really like the stability of the PhD line and a lot of the veterans on that, especially Garden Hathaway. Garden Hathaway's been fantastic for this team so far. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that I really believe that that's if they sneak into playoffs, that line is going to be the most valuable. And really, they would sneak in. I think that Sean Walker too. I think under Sean Walker, people really haven't taken notice of him too much. I've seen a lot more good than bad out of him. I think he's been more solid than people expected to be. And he's might be a guy that you might want to keep on your bottom 6. On your make a 5 or 6 D man and kind of see what else you're going to do or work around the lineup. It really depends on how much that Ristolainen comes back and when Mark Stahl comes back as well. So I think that once this team gets healthy, they're going to be a little bit of a different team than you think. But they're keeping their head above water, and they haven't even been 100% since they started the season.
Hey, another high and wide shot.
By who?
Let's see. Who was that? Hold on. Noah Gates.
Oh, of course.
I haven't said we have not heard his name a lot.
Yeah, he's got to develop his offensive game. You won't see him too much because he does a really good job defensively, but he definitely needs to up his offensive game. He could be a very, very dangerous NHL player if that's the case. If he could chip in 10, 15 goals a year and maybe about 40 points, he'd be pretty lethal if that were the case as a second line center.
Yeah.
But what's have Lawton?
I'm always curious what we see with the time on the ice differences. Nobody is anywhere close to Travis Sanheim's. I think he's probably at like 25 minutes now, maybe a little bit higher, but nobody else has more than 17 on the defensive side. 25 minutes for Travis Sanheim. I mean, you want that because obviously you need something to fill the workhorse that was Provorov. I'm just surprised to differentiate the difference in the other defenseman.
Well, if you look at the average time on ice overall for this season, not just tonight, but you have Travis Sanheim as your workhorse at 20. Yeah, he's averaged 25, 27 a night. Cam York's at 23, 29. Sean Walker's at 20 minutes. He's more than Sean Couturier at 1932. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's good that this is good for Sanheim. This is what you paid him for. This is what you signed him that contract.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining that he's getting that. I'm just taking a notice of the differentiation, but it's good to see that he's getting this amount of ice time.
Well, the question becomes too is that you have to wonder, is Cam York the guy you need on a pair with him, or is that something when Ristolainen comes back you're going to put Risto with York, or Zamula with that? Where else are you going to expand the offensive play and from the defensive pairings? Where is that coming from? So, Cam York seems to be eyeing that piece, and they want to develop him in that role. But is he better suited to play with a guy like Risto, or do you want to have him have a lot of those minutes and develop him into a top pair of defensemen?
Oh, what a save. That was an amazing save as a man was left wide open in the slot for the Kings, and Cal Peterson made the save of his night. If only it was a close game. But hey, nice to see. Nice to see a kick save and a beauty by Cal Peterson.
Yep. Let's see. Coming up here probably in a second or so. Oh, yes.
Also, good thing.
Great reactive save. Great reactive save. It was off of the stick of hold on 1 second. That's the Alex Lafreniere. I think he might have been a little out of position on that one. See the way I kind of jerked it a little bit.
Yeah.
He needs to work on his technique still. His technique is really a problem, which is fine. I mean, if you're in the AHL, but in the NHL, you got to have precise technique. It's more about technique than it is about actually just reacting to the save, Bill, if you weren't aware of that. But going back, I was saying before, I with the ice time, I like that Sean Couturier is leading all the forwards. That means he's your top center again, your top dog. Konechny is still below Cam Atkinson, so you're really leaning on your two veterans there to get him most of the ice time. Tyson Foerster's getting my 15 minutes a night, 15, 16, more than Scott Lawton and more than the PLD line, because the PhD line, PhD line is getting between 10 and 11 minutes a night. I'll tell you what, you'd see Bobby Brink is getting more ice time than on average than Noah Cates, Owen Tippett, my boy Mark Stahl, Morgan Frost, Tyson Foerster, Joel Farabee, and Scott Lawton. The one that concerns me about that is Joel Farabee, because Joel Farabee, I'm just going to go out and give this as a hot take. If Joel Farabee does not start stepping up this season and start getting back to the way he was 2 seasons ago, he needs to be traded. Sorry. He needs to be traded, because you can get a lot for him. And if you have enough talent come out, you're going to get a pretty decent haul for Joel Farabee. And it's not that I don't have an issue with Joel Farabee, but it's like right now, at only averaging 15 minutes a night, I mean, look, he's got, so far in the season, he's got 9 points in 11 games. But he's got 9 points in 11 games and only averaging 15 minutes a night. Morgan Frost averages more than that through 5 games, but no points. I look at Joel Farabee, if he's not a guy which needs to be playing more minutes a night, 17, 18, 19 minutes a night, and you're paying that much money for him for only 15 minutes, you're hindering his development. You're hindering your team with that. And you might want to look at the trade market for him, because you're going to get a haul. And we talk about the draft for this team and developing this group. That it's a hot take. I know it's probably not going to happen. And they'd probably be thinking, you're insane with trade. Why would you trade Joel Farabee? He's the one guy I'd trade him over. I'd trade him over Carter Hart. I would trade him over Carter Hart in a heartbeat.
Donnell has a question for you, Scott. Do you like the new Flyers jerseys?
Absolutely,
I think we talked about this in the first period.
Them. Yes, Donnell. I absolutely love them. Here's why I love them, Donnell. I love them because I didn't think I was going to like the shoulders. Let me see. I didn't think I was going to like the just a single color on the shoulders, on the arms. But I love it because it's a throwback to a bunch of different uniforms. So like, it looks like the mid 90s one. So I'm wearing the reverse retro. Excuse me. Back in the late 90s and the mid 90s, they had this area where it's white, it was black, and the shoulders were white. I like how they separated that. They still have like the old original Flyers look, but they went back to the burnt orange, and it made it like the same design as the late 90s ones. That burnt orange is a total difference maker. It may not notice it, but that neon orange they wore, that was just terrible from the start. Hated that jersey. The white ones for the Winter Classic they had in 2010 were cool. The white ones with the orange stripe, but they're orange and black, not orange and white. And most of those jerseys were orange and white. The black is a lot more prevalent on these jerseys, and I really think that that's a big key for the Flyers. And I love the jersey, absolutely love it.
I still think, and I know I've talked about this on the podcast. I don't know if I've said it on one of these watch parties that we've done. I still love, and I will always love, the orange 2012 Winter Classic jerseys against the Rangers at CVP. I love that jersey. That color orange, I think it worked really well. I like these. I agree with you. I think these might be my new favorite, but I will always have a special place in my heart for those 2012 jerseys from 13 years ago.
They're like with the cream striping, the cream white striping and the cream outline of instead of white. Yeah. Those are nice jerseys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Those were nice looking jerseys. I'm telling you, my all-time favorite is that late 90s black jersey.
Absolutely.
100%. That is my all-time favorite, with the orange stripe right across the shoulder and then the white shoulder. That jersey just had pop because it was a jar jersey, but that orange just popped on it. I'll tell you what, though.
Those stadium series from the Pittsburgh. No, was it Pittsburgh?
Those pure orange ones.
No. The black ones that they had from.
The alternate now, the one that's right here on the back of my chair.
Those are really
guy
nice
right here.
I really like those. But to your point, like the late 90s ones are they're better than those, but those are up there as well.
Yeah. Donnell has
another question. Are they still
question.
the third jersey? I didn't know that they were still the third jerseys.
They wore them the other night. Okay, cool. They wore them the other day. Yeah, the black ones are still that. Yeah, they did. They wore them last week. So yeah, the black jersey with this stripe is fantastic. I think that's a really, really neat jersey. What was a really cool one? I wish there was a way we could show the picture of it. But those alternate jerseys from like the early 2000s, those orange one with like the silver Flyers logo, those were cool because they were just different. But then they were still orange because that's when they changed to the black jersey. So, let me see, Donnell, since you're wearing the Flyers reverse retro 1.0,
he's talking about the last year's retros with that match the Cooperalls. Yeah, listen, those were awful.
Those were the worst Flyers jersey I've ever seen in my entire life, and I hated the orange jersey from the previous generation. Hated it. Those reverse jerseys had no personality whatsoever. It was garbage. Like, literally, look at that jersey. If you look at that jersey, and this goes to probably from the last regime. When you look at it, like, there was no person. The whole jersey was white and black. Like, there was like this one here. It has white on the 1.0. It has white here at the end. But it does have the white striping here, which does offset it. So you have a little bit. The letters are in white as well. It's a clean white outlining on the number here. It's a Carter Hart jersey. It outline. The 2.0, that white one, the whole thing is just garbage because there's only orange on the wrists. Like, that's not a Flyers jersey. Sorry, that's just a crappy jersey.
So there looks like Scott Lawn's going to the penalty box for a holding penalty with 7:20 to go. So we're on shutout watch at this point. I'm trying to jinx the Fly. I'm trying to jinx this team now. We'll talk about the shutout. What the hell are you doing, Scott? Just put his arms around the neck of that. I know what he's doing. It's just frustration. You're down 5-0.
You're fine, 5-0.
You're just trying to get to. You're trying to get to. At this point, they're thinking about the plane ride out to San Jose. Like that's what
this one is just, you know what? Burn the tape. Don't look at it ever again.
No, I want Torts to show the team this. Like there's no excuse to play like this. I don't care that it's a back-to-back. Like I understand a loss. They didn't show up tonight. Like they're playing very lazy. I don't think the offense certainly didn't show up to play. The penalty kill and the power play were non-existent. Like this has been, I would probably say this is the worst game of the Flyers season so far. Like,
one of them.
Yeah.
But again, I'm gonna disagree with you. I don't think this is that because the Flyers have played poorly. I'm not gonna make the tired legs things an excuse. That's not the thing.
Yeah.
I just think that they came in, they played well. They were in this game for the first, 30, 40 minutes of this game almost until it got to 4-0. They were in it. Outside of 40 seconds, that first period was even. They played and they had their chances in the second period. They couldn't get anything past Cam Talbot. And in the third period, it's like, well, shit. You know what I mean? Like, let's try to chip away. Like, there's this. That's legit what it is. It's, well, shit, dude. Like,
Yeah,
okay, we just got to try to get one here.
I mean, you're a beer league player yourself. You play the game. Like, when you're down that much going and disappointment like that, where you let up in probably two soft, at least one, possibly two soft goals at the end of the second, to go down 4-0. What does Torts say to the team? Like, just chip away, like just do something.
Pretty much, that would be the message. I mean, you still go out there, you still play. You know, you're frustrated that you're down, but you play through it. Like, you know, I mean, it's, you know, for instance, last night, like my team and I were, excuse me, we had a game and it was 2-2 after 2, and we wound up losing 6-2. And just because of a couple bounces that happened in the third that ended up behind us, just some plays that just bang plays and things that just happen to situations that occur. You know, it's just sometimes that you gave them a run for money. That it was a better game than you expected. You know, you'd always come out on top. But if it's a professional, I'll say as a professional, you look at this game and, okay, well, what can we learn from it? Oh my God, Cal Peterson, you have a terrible skater. Sorry, Cal. Cal Peterson's a terrible skater. I don't know what I just watched, but I just watched him like flop around and try to do like
a looked like a fish out of water.
Oh my God, that was awful, brutal skating. And the Kings thought that he was the guy to replace Jonathan Quick. So anywho,
what did we trade for him?
You got him part of the Provorov deal.
Wow.
You got him part of the Provorov deal. But you also got Sean Walker in that deal too. And you got a first round pick. So
that's really
it was a salary dump for LA. So they could afford contracts. But I would say this for a team like this, when you're going on third period, it's like, just try to chip away and just try to get one. Like, you just got to keep playing. You got to keep going because things can happen. And the thing is that if you start getting into that game and, you know, the third period and you get one, then you try to, you know, chip away, you get a little bit of momentum. You get two, and all of a sudden you got the momentum, and the other team's on their heels and try to respond. And that's how the comebacks come back. You're just trying to chip away to at least start with one. You know, you can't score 4 at once. You have to try to score 1. And that's the key, is that you just try to chip away at it. Just try to play the game, finish the game strong. And what lessons can you learn from this? If I'm a coach looking at this game, you know, you're saying it's the worst game of the season. Scoreboard wide, yes. I just think that not that they didn't show up tonight. It's just that they didn't hit the finer points of the game. Like, you know, with 3 minutes left here, a lot of shots are missing high and wide. They didn't get a lot of second chances off of rebounds and off of plays when they were generating scoring chances. There weren't a lot of second chances. They were not really great as far as transitioning out of the zone. And when they got pinned, they got in trouble. Overall, I don't think that it's been a terrible game. The scorer looks at him like, oh my God, they friggin' got blown out tonight. Well, these games are going to happen in an 82-game season. You're going to be lopsided. But the shots are 27-23. You look at the scoring chances are probably a bit different. And Cam Talbot's made some really tough saves tonight. And they had some good scoring chances to put some in, but he shut the door. And sometimes that happens. You hit good goaltending sometimes. And legitimately, like, you know, sometimes, some nights your goaltender needs to be your best player. Now you see the difference between, you know, having a good goalie and a goalie that's, frankly, an AHL backup and a fringe NHL backup.
Fringe NHL.
Yeah, he's a fringe NHLer. Like, Cal Peterson coming, he can play at the NHL level. He can absolutely do it. But his technique is just garbage. Like, watching him tonight and the way they kind of like fish out of water sometimes. And I can give a little bit of that to the fact that he hasn't played at this level in a while. So the speed is different from the AHL. So there is definitely an adjustment period, regardless you come back at all. But yeah, I mean, you know, as we're going through, you see some big points where he looks like, okay, he's doing the right thing, but still, the technique wise, he still needs to work on the finer points of his game to stay at this level consistently.
Yeah,
he'll play another 1 or 2 games depending on how long that Carter Hart's out for. I expect Sam Ersson to get the bulk of them.
I would hope so, especially with Sandstrom now going on the IR. You need Ersson to step up, and thankfully, now I will say Ersson will get the start on Tuesday night against San Jose. You're going to bounce back from this game. What I said earlier in the broadcast about lock it in potentially, unless they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. later this evening. Actually, I think they're about to get.
I'm
into
gonna watch that game. Actually, I think I'm gonna watch that game.
Yeah,
because now I'm curious. Because I really want to take a look at the Penguins and say, okay, how do they look against a really bad team? Like, let's see how they produce against a really bad team.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll reverse what I said, or take back what I said. They'll win against San Jose. They'll bounce back after this, because what Torts is good at is getting this team ready for the next game. I'll give him that. After a dud like tonight, where you're down 5-0, like you said, they've had a couple of chances. Nothing's going on net. They of the 24 shots or 23 shots that they have on net, Bobby Brink just had another goal chance, but he just put it right in the belly of Talbot. I would imagine if they get some of those pucks that went high and wide, even 50% of them back on net, you're probably looking at 30 shots, maybe 32 if I'm being nice. And then he's good at getting this team back on track. And thankfully, you have a travel day tomorrow, a rest day on the 6th, and then you're back at it in one of a worse team than you are. And if you think that you are better than the bottom tier, a fringe playoff team, you beat teams like San Jose, and you have Anaheim coming up again. You need you got to beat those two teams. Those are teams that you should be beating.
Yeah, they need to play better against a team like Anaheim. Anaheim, where they're at in the standings right now, as far as if you look at the West, I mean, they're top wild card right now. They're playing pretty decently, but I mean, you can't lose. You can't give up 7 goals like that in a game. You cannot do that. And again, let's take some of the perspective here. Okay,
2 minutes left in the third.
Yeah, take a step back here. Let's realize something here. What are those black dots on the screen? Oh, that's where all the shots.
Oh, I was going to say that. That was a cool graphic by NBC.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, there was holes in the ice.
It looks like it's like Bane. It's like Bane from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, right. Just the whole ice starts. Yeah, that's great. That's a great reference.
Nobody knows who I was until I put on the mask.
The darkness. But I see the first one. I see it was blinding. Yeah, that's the best one.
No, I watch that.
Yeah, great. Anyway, I was going to say,
you said it real interesting.
Yeah, terrible. What I was going to say is that if you look at this, the Flyers don't play Western Conference teams often, so it's not like you're doing a whole bunch of prep for them. You know what I mean? Like you're not. You're probably not. You're just taking them seriously, but you're not familiar with them. So you're just more or less playing. You're just playing hockey at that point. You're not strategizing. It's not like the Flyers are playing the Rangers or the Devils or a team that you're very familiar with, and the points are a 4-point swing. These are points that you want to bag, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. I mean, if they lose the Western Conference teams so far combined by a score of 12-4, well, shit, I'm not going to really be worried about it, and it is what it is. So, but geez, you all right over there?
I dropped my water bottle.
Oh, jeez. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back because I believe we'll talk about the Sharks real quick because that's the next opponent. I believe that they just lost by like 9, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see the Sharks so far this year, how bad they've been. So they're 0-9-1. Okay. Bill, are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1, 2. How many goals in 10 games? How many goals have the San Jose Sharks scored?
Total?
Yes, don't look.
15.
No, 10.
Oh my God.
They've scored 10 goals. How many goals have they given up so far this year?
Let's go high 23.
45.
Wait, what?
They're that bad. They've scored 10 goals and given up 45.
All right.
So I mean,
as the game finally goes final, Cam Talbot gets his 4th shutout against the Flyers. Most among the Flyers, most among active goalies against the Philadelphia Flyers. 5-0 loss here. As quarterback Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles says, "Flush it and move on." That's not a great game.
No, you do. It's terrible. I'm glad I spent my Saturday night with you here.
Yeah.
Talking about a 5-0 loss. This was fun.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I'm being serious. I'm not being facetious either. That was fun.
And it's technically 9:06 because we rolled the clock back tonight.
Yeah, man.
Remember, folks, if you are in a country or state not named Arizona, I think Arizona is the only one that roll your clock back tonight. Roll your clocks back.
Roll your clocks back. Real quick before we I want to spend a second on this on the Sharks. This is how bad this is. I have not really taken a look at this until now. I'm glad you had a swell time, Charles.
We're so glad you did, Charles.
Yeah, swell. Love the word swell. All right. You never walk alone. Anyway, so the first game they lost 4-1 to the Vegas. Then they lost 2-1 in a shootout to Colorado. Then they lost 6-3 to Carolina. And then the wheels started falling off. They lost 3-1 to Bruins. They lost 5-1 to they lost 5-1 to the Predators, 3-1 to the Panthers, 6-0 to the Lightning, 3-0 to the Hurricanes. So they shut out in back-to-back games. And then they lost 3-1 to the Caps. And what's today? Today on Thursday night, they lost 10-1 to the Vancouver Canucks.
Jeez.
10-1. 10-1 to the Vancouver Canucks. Who padded their goals favorable for some other teams. So that's I'm not gonna shut up. I'm talking about the Canucks now. So the Western swing. But look, strange things happen. Hopefully that's the Flyers' next opponent against the Sharks. Got California road trip coming up here. They need to bag some points here. This is a critical road trip because especially if we find out what's going on with Sean Couturier, if he's going to join the team or not.
And Carter Hart.
Critical. Yeah. Carter Hart, I doubt. I would like to see if he's day-to-day.
Oh, yeah. Bag the points now.
Right.
Because these are bad teams. Because if Carter Hart is out for 6 weeks as expected,
right,
not great. You have to beat the teams that you're better than, clearly better than, and that is at least your next two opponents in San Jose and Anaheim. That's bar none. And then you got to face the Kings again. So a little bit of a revenge factor, I guess.
Yep.
That is going to do it. This is Orange and Backcheck. He is Scott Weinhart. I am Bill Kornfeld. We are the hosts of the Orange and Backcheck podcast. If you have not subscribed to us, please do so. We are on Spotify, Apple, all wherever you listen to your podcast. And then follow us on social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that fun stuff. We have put out some great content. Hope you continue to join us. We are back, I think, in December for a game. I don't remember which one, but we have games coming up all this season here on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. As always, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook and Raycon headphones. Make sure you use promo code THPN when you're signing up for both. And as always, enjoy the night and have a good one. We'll see you next time. Again, that's Scott Weinhart. I'm Bill Kornfeld. Good night, everyone.
See ya.
Say something.